2019. And of course, Alaric has given this little chance for me to actually showcase to his group committee itself on how this works. So before I go on, I just want to check with you, for those people who are here tonight, who are the retailers or who are the new traders and stuff there? If any of you are traders, please let me know right now. I mean, if you're not a trader, you've never seen this before, it's okay. Just let me know in the chat. So is anyone who's a retailer right now so far? And it's a retailer, please let me know. Or anyone traded before in the stock market, please let me know right now. I'm telling you today that today's webinar will be something different. You will never see trading like this before. All right, that's a guarantee. All right. So any other questions? No other questions, then we'll proceed. If you guys are not sure, please, then we'll proceed right now. All right. So we have about an hour plus for this webinar. So I'm going to finish the webinar in about 1.5 hours or so. It's a webinar that is designed to be very different from other places. So before we start today's presentation, very simple, we just need to get a few of the disclaimers out of the way first. So very simple. Right now, whatever you're going to see from me is to be regarded as pure education advice only. None of this that tonight I'm sharing with you will be regarded as financial advice. The reason why I cannot be a financial advisor or say in terms of financial advisory way is because I'm not regulated under MAS, all right? So with any other systems out there in the markets, you guys agree that if you take the trades or you follow some trading advice, it's your own action, and if you follow what we do and you lose money, it's based on your own risk and own action, and that you must understand that trading is not something suitable for every single person. Of course, being my position and having worked in different places in fund houses and brokerages around the world, right now I'm based in Sydney right now. I'm currently in Sydney and I'm with the fund, one of the smaller funds here right now. I am still not regulated under MAS because this side here, they're regulated under this governing body called ASIC right now, all right? So past performance of any trading systems out there may not be exactly what the future might be. So just please note that what you see in the past may not reflect what's going to happen in the future. And of course, it's my legal obligation to remind you that you need to seek legal advice, trading advice from a licensed financial advisor, whichever jurisdiction you are located in right now. And of course, if any doubts about this thing, please sound out. And by proceeding this webinar itself, you automatically agree to all the disclaimer in this presentation right now. Right? So just a quick question for all of you guys today. For those of you who have been trading for a while, how many of you are here because your trading methods, your traditional methods, such as your swing trading, your scalping, your structured trading, your pattern trading, the fundamental and your value investing are not working out for you? And here's a bigger question I need to ask. How many of you are actually afraid what might happen in the economy right now? You guys are hearing all the stupid news out there about some stupid inflation data and stuff like that. And some of you guys are seeing your everyday groceries go up. How many of you are actually worried about the kind of cost that's going to affect upon your life? If you are, please let me know in the chat that you're worried. Just put a Y or something that you're worried. Just let me know that you're worried on the chat right now. Anyone who's worried right now, please let me know. I do ask that you guys actually communicate with me with this webinar. You're worried? Okay, thank you very much for replying. Who else is worried about this whole situation right now? So, of course, being worried in this sense, very simple. What we show today is something that nobody, I repeat, nobody in the financial industry will be willing to share with you. And of course, being the kind of time trader I am right now, we can actually showcase events for the next 100 years to 1,000 years in the future. How crazy does that sound? We can actually tell you what might happen for the next 100 to 1,000 years in the future. And we can actually give you the dates of events of what will happen. Does it sound crazy to you guys? All right, if it's crazy, just let me know in the chat that it's crazy and that this is something you have never seen before. You are excited to learn. All right? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so for tonight's webinar is very simple. This webinar itself is targeted more towards the professionals, retailers, and new inspiring traders. We are also looking for existing traders who are looking for an improvement rate of over 25% of your current results. Of course, our main audience are usually individuals of fund houses looking to adapt new open-minded strategies on how they see the financial world. Of course, being a time trader, we want to know how to predict upcoming market events, right? So this webinar is for me to showcase to you how we actually predict days to months in advance of market turning points with extreme certainty. And sometimes we can take this information to predict what might happen in life in general. Of course, this is not a webinar where I show you how to turn $100 into $1 million overnight. That's called lottery. And if you're in that case, of course, we invite you to leave right now. Options, is it for option trading? Of course, it can be used for option tradings, but it's just a different form of markets. All right. So, reminder today that today's market, I will present you an opportunity that you've never seen before. And there's only two things that I ask from you guys right now. Number one is that please keep an open mind with whatever I'm going to say to you tonight at all times. Right? So please keep an open mind at all times. And number two, if I do ask for you guys to interact with me, please have some, conversation with me or some interaction with me. You can ask as many questions as you want tonight. So just put on a chat or reply, just ask away. So don't make this be a one-sided communication, because I'm going to show you a lot of crazy stuff. Right? So once again, we would like to address what's happening in the industry right now. So for those retailers right now, most of you have probably heard about this. Support resistance, trend lining, moving averages, your indicators like your MACD, your RSI, your Bollinger Band, stuff like that. These are very common trading stuff that most gurus out there, or most people who claim to know the markets, will be telling you to use. Of course, there are more advanced guys who will use things like your Fibonacci, your momentum swing, your structured trading, things like value vesting, stuff like that. When it comes to our world, if you're working in a fund or whatsoever, some funds, they still use this, but some funds like us, where we're talking about the quant level of funds, we call this stuff the retailers rubbish. As crazy as it sounds, it's called retailers rubbish, which means that we don't really care about all these things. We don't even use any of this analysis in our trading. Do you know what kind of mode would that be when I tell you guys that we don't use any of those things that some people swear by it? How do you think you will react if you hear a claim like this? Do you think I'm, number one, you get angry with me? Number two, you think I'm crazy? Or number three, you're curious to learn? If you are, just type one of this reply right now about what do you think when I said that whatever you're taught out there is pure rubbish. Let me know in the chats. If you think that that's crazy, the value investing is supposed to be the way, and I'm telling you it's crazy, if you're angry with me, type 1. If you think that it's crazy, type 2, that this guy here says it's crazy. Or number 3, you're curious. All right, only 3. So everyone's here right now is curious. No one's angry with me that I'm telling you that whatever you learned for the last 10 years of life or 5 years of life, that these things are not working. Great. Thank you very much for replying. So let's look at case studies right now from past. In the UK itself, what happens under FCA is that most people are losing so much money in the markets that they actually publish the studies, and the FCA actually force UK regulated brokers to publish how many percentage of people are losing in the accounts. And this is a study done from Baby Pips in 2019. And if you look at the stats right now, right in front of your face right now, doesn't that not surprise you or scare you anyway? What is the average percentage of people losing and not making money, or when they enter the trading industry or they become a retailer? The answers are quite clear, isn't it? It's around 81%. To around the lowest I see right now is about 69% or 64%. I see one under FXTM. But then again, majority of the time, they are somewhere between the 83% to around the 77%. And doesn't that scare you about what the fluff that's all going right now in the market right now, about who or which group teaches you what? In other words, something out there is not working. Do you think these people, this 70-80% of people, wants to lose in the stock market? They don't, right? They're probably people like you, and most of the time in the past, the old me, right? So what is it different from the rest? Majority of you who are trading will probably be very familiar with things on the left side. So as I already stated from the start, that these are things like swing trading, your momentum, your zoning. Some people swear by Alert Wave. The joke on the market is this: if you get 10 Alert Wave trader to give you 10 Alert Wave to tell you about 10 Alert Wave analysis, you get 10 different results. What about things like RSI, Bollinger Bands, or trend linings? These other standard stuff in the market that most people probably hear before, probably heard some gurus swear by it. And if you look at the percentage win rate there, it's between about 35 to 60%. But here's what they don't want you to know. The things on the right side that you see right now from my screen is what's hidden from you. And you'll hear things like time bar, time harmonics, astrological planetary cycles, symmetrical trading systems cycles, things like a BMM systems. That's created by us, by the way, the BMM systems, the dimension trading models, energy grid structures. Things like this you probably never heard before anywhere in the trading world. You probably heard one or two persons say about something about the moon, or probably something about some cycles or this and that, but you probably never investigate further. And here's the truth. The things that on the right side is what we use almost daily in our trading. And if you look at the win rates from there, it's about 55% to about 90% win rate. How crazy is that? That we can actually tell you a few days later, something will happen. This is how time trading works. And of course, today I'm going to start showing you how it actually looks like. So the very fundamental of time trading is this. There are actually 3 subcategories of time trading. So whenever people say about time trading, or when you hear this idea of time trading, it's actually 3 principles behind, not 1, but 3. Most people think that it's only financial astrology, which actually is, well, 1/3 of it correct. So financial astrology itself, right, is where we look at things like the natal charts or the aspects of the markets, things like the conjunctions or the retrogression cycles of the markets, or how 2 planetary bodies actually interact with each other, creating a certain energy events that we calculate energy that affects humans' emotions. That's the basic for the subcategory. Then we come to something called the harmonical analysis. Harmonical analysis are a little bit like your quantum physics of calculations, where we actually look into what we call things like wave theory, about a dimension, a balance between 2 points. So if we want to know how the market will react in the future, we can actually analyze an event from the past to pre-predict and future behavior without using any fundamentals of that. It's pure technicals. Then it comes to what we call time technicals itself, where we actually go into things like sacred geometry trading, where we can actually mirror the market cycles and analysis and actually predict a model and translate a 2-dimension model into a 12-dimension model in the market charts. That is actually what we call a time technical analysis itself. I know this thing sounds crazy, but probably you guys are actually quite curious to see how this actually looks like on the real charts right now. So for those of you who are here right now, let me just show to you some examples of this, and I can show you one of the softwares I'm using for this. So I'll just ignore this thing. So what you see here right now is called an Epirus chart. An Epirus chart is how I'm able to determine a point in sky right now of the events that happens right now. So you can, what we're looking for is that, right, in the Epirus chart, there are 12 houses, we call it 12 solar houses, that can be divided into subcategories of what they actually mean to the world and how they interact with the planet location. Of course, there's 2 types of analysis from this, something called a heliocentric and geocentric itself. I'll show it to you on the live chart. I'm just showing this a picture right now. So with these aspects that I'm showing you right now, we also have something called a dimension grid model, where we're actually able to fracture up the market energy into things like the little triangle point you see here. Right now, this is for Bitcoin itself. And we are actually able to determine where the price level might be and where we might find hidden support and resistance in the market based on a dimension model. Of course, we have something called the hidden dimension analysis, where you could see clearly on the chart that on the left side here, I pick a random empty space. But somehow this empty random space, I'm able to predict and project an energy that goes nicely into the future, exactly pinpointing the highs and lows of the markets while finding an empty space. This is a part of what we call hidden dimension analysis, where we multiply the energy forward in the future, and we can actually find the highs and lows as the market moves towards time itself, right? This is just one example itself. Of course, we can do something more towards this is polygon analysis, where we can actually take more like a quantum field analysis of the markets to find repeating correlations, and we can pinpoint exactly, as you see those yellow squares there, when something interesting might happen now and to the future points. This is what we call polygon analysis. And of course, having this said and done, when you can see things like this, you can actually translate this data and actually pinpoint events on the empty chart, telling you which day in the future something will happen, or something of an extremely high odds of happening, what will happen on those dates. Like for example, this is before, and this is the after of that. This is how we do an energy grid analysis. Right, so you can see that we can actually pinpoint the data points into the future, and it actually reacts accordingly. For example, here we have a yellow bar here. Immediately after point A to point B here, you see the market drop, and when it hit the next yellow point, it stabilizes on spot. We actually know these dates from empty charts like this. This is the before here, we have the data. This is after. Now, isn't this information crazy? If I show to you on the actual programs, we should look something like this. This is one example where we have a moon phase integrated into one, or we have something like an Imperial system. Let me just show you an Imperial system, the one I showed earlier, where we can actually see from the Earth point of view, or the one I'm talking to you from the heliocentric, the sun's point of view, where the Earth is, and we can actually determine what actually happens in the future or in the past. So we actually look into the data points of futures and past to determine what exactly happens in the world itself and how they correlate. So this is a standard astrological chart of Imperials. And when we look into something called a aspects, let's say we're looking for a squaring and conjunction effect. And I just put this date here. And if I were to run over the dates, you can see that certain things will appear within the solar houses. You can see like this, for example, Saturn is, Pluto right now is in the Capricorn on this date here, 2018, which means that it's still a very Earth era at that point because of the Capricornian nature of things. But if you look at what happened if you look what's happening in the world right now, when the world goes into 2025, where we shift into what we call air era of Aquarius, the world's economy will change once again from 2024 to 2025. The Chinese were correct about this when we talk about the period cycle of period 8 to period 9 if you do Chinese feng shui, right? This is actually how we calculate the events, where solar houses shift over to another point. But of course, I don't expect you to know any of this what I'm talking about right now. But just note that, right, the reason why you're seeing a lot of fighting in the banking system right now is because of what we call the retrogression period between Pluto in the Capricorn to the Aquarius cycles. And that's why from 2020 onwards, when COVID struck, it was actually a shift in element. But I'm not going to go into so much details there because you guys will probably burst by the amount of data that I'm sharing right now. All right. So just note that we can actually use data like this to actually pinpoint events and actually plot when things will happen based on something like an Imperial chart. Of course, there's other ways of doing this, such as a square of 9. If you are ever a Gann trader, there's this is what we call Wheel of 24, where we can calculate events of a certain polarity shift along this line. For example, if I have a date here with a number factor here, I can pinpoint what might happen in the future sense of a reactive point based on the calculation on this wheel chart here. We could also do something like, let me show it to you. We can also take things off a square of 9. This is a more basic Gann strategy, where we can actually know the extremity ends of the price to time harmonics, and we can key the data in, and it actually tells us when the market will react on what price accurately. This is how sickening the market is actually. This is the real trading stuff, not the shit you guys are learning out there in the markets right now, right? So this is just another example of it. Because we can do more crazy stuff like this. Is polygon. I can actually multiply the energy right now to show tangles energy, point to the future and the past. I can also take this polygon and multiply a sub-energy division here, something like that, to find out what might happen in the future. This is just one example. I can also do things like a planetary cycles. Let me just show it to you, a planetary cycles. When I can actually pinpoint, I can show you Bitcoin later, why we know Bitcoin could go up or down since last year. Why 100K was not possible last year because of planetary cycles, right? So just some examples of it right now. I don't scare you guys too much. So with all the things I just shared with you guys right now, how do you actually feel right now about the markets? How do you actually feel about markets? For those of you who have been trading for a while, how do you actually feel? Do you feel very intimidated that whatever you think you know about the stock market in the past, right, it's all pure rubbish, or that you suddenly feel you don't know so much about things? If you're feeling very strange or intimidated, please let me know right now that you feel very uncertain, strange, scared, or whatsoever. I think that this guy here is talking a lot of crazy stuff, right? Just let me know how you feel. Right? Just interact with me right now. I just dropped a very big bomb on you about the actual markets itself. How do you guys feel? Come on, let me know in the chat so I take a sip of water. So it's feeling blurred. What about the rest? All the rest of you guys? Are you guys still listening here? For those of you who are the investors here, someone said they bring investors in. How do you feel right now that whatever TAs you think you know about the markets change for you from now onwards? right? If you're feeling that what I just dropped the bomb with you right now, well, I'm going to start something easy right now for you. For those of you who might be feeling lost about stock market right now, right? Of course, by now you understand why majority of you guys are dying in the stock market. All right, why most of you are losing money? It's because it's designed to be difficult. All right. So these are some stuff that I went through earlier at the start. And of course, I would like to just show it to you some very basic stuff right now. So when people talk about stock market, they talk about ideas of how to make money. Most of you guys will probably understand this. How do you buy low and sell high and make the difference from the markets, right? So for example, if I have an apple, I buy for $1 and I sell it away at 120, I make 20 cents profit, right? But what is stopping me from buying 3 apples and selling each of them at, well, 120 each? I make 60 cents, right? But am I able to make 60 cents with 1 apple? I can. And I can just buy 1 apple at $1 and sell it away at 160. And that's probably a same size as buying 3 apples at the different lot sizing, but at a selling at different price amount, depending on the appreciation value of the markets or the item you're buying. All right, so that's the simple stuff that most of you learn. If I translate the same data out there to you, it's like this. What if I buy something at $30,200, like Dow Jones, for example, and it goes to around $30,350? The difference is $150, right? Which means that you buy something low and sell away, you make $150, right? But what if I buy 2 of those things? I buy 2. So in the stock market point of view, we call this buying 2 lot size, right? You're buying 2 of items. Simple stuff, right? And you buy 1 lot size, it goes up to $150 in value. You sell away, you make $150. If you buy 2, it's a multiplication of 2. If you buy 10, you get multiplication of 10. Simple maths. But there's something about this whole idea of market crashing and people losing money, right? There's this idea out there that most people may not understand. It's called shorting the markets. What do you mean by shorting markets? The idea of shorting markets is this thing. When the market falls more, the more money I earn. I repeat, when something drops in value, I make more money when I short it. I'm actually selling first before buying back. Does it scare any of you? So to us, when the market crashes, right, for some of us who are in this professionally, we don't care if the market crash or not. Because if we know the market is going to crash and we short it, we actually make more money because the market is losing its value. Does it sound fair in any way? So if you see a news report like this, like Market Insiders or Bloomberg, they say, oh my goodness, we'll crash about 15% further and this and that, right? Do you think we are scared? The real professionals are scared about what's going to happen in the economy? Or do you think we are secretly behind the market back celebrating because we know we're going to make a lot more money by shorting the markets? Think about that for a moment, right? Why I'm bringing this out is because whenever market crashes, there's more opportunity to make money. Wherever market goes up or down, we don't care because we can time the markets. We know when to do what, be it options trading, be it a standard trading, a retail trading itself, or be it ETFs or CFDs. We do not care, right? I know it sounds unfair to some of you guys who never know about this, but there's something called shorting. And of course, there's a famous example back in the old day. There's this guy called Bill Ackman, right? Bill Ackman tweeted something before the market crash, before the COVID crash. 2 weeks before COVID crash, he tweeted, hell is coming to the markets. And he took about $23 million. He shorted the markets. And as the market crashed during the COVID period, he turned $23 million into $2.6 billion over 3 weeks. That's the power of shorting. If you know what to do. Who cares about the market crash? He turned 21 million to $2.6 billion in 3 weeks. That is the power of shorting. So do you think they care the market crash? No, they don't, right? And of course, people feel it's very unfair. And it leads to events such as the Occupy Wall Street event in 2011, where the rich and poor, of course, are mocking each other. Right? No. Someone just asked, is it a bit volatility play a big dangerous game short? No, not true. If you know the cycles, I'll show you the cycles later. You can actually know when the market will do what, because I've been doing this publicly live for a couple of years now. So what I'm trying to show you is this. The reason why people feel it's unfair and it creates this kind of riots around the world, like the 2011 one, for example, this thing where the bankers and the people out there in the clubs, exclusive club, are sipping champagne and actually pouring people down to those protesters out there, and they're laughing at them, right? Of course, we do not advocate for such behaviors. We do not want this to happen to you, any of you guys. We don't want to advocate any of you who make it there to laugh at the poor. In fact, you guys should be helping them, not laughing at them. But there are human behaviors like this back in those days. I'm not going to show the video to you right now because of time constraint, but I just want to understand that this is what triggers people to get angry at each other, right? So the whole point I'm trying to drive today right now is this thing. Whether you are at the 99% in terms of what we call the Occupy Wall Street event, or the 1%, in any market situation, we always make the money because we can time the markets. So we need you today to understand that if the market is going to crash, inflation is going through a roof, you need to know how to be happy about it because you understand the very fundamentals of the markets itself. And the idea is this thing, whether the market is in a bull or bear cycle, we always make the money. But there are always people who will be losing in either direction. All right? So just note that if the market is going to crash, don't worry about that because there are ways to make money from this game. So what are some other famous examples of people making a lot of money from this game like this? Well, people like Henry Ford said this thing. It is well enough that people of the nation do not understand our banking and monetary systems, but if they did, I believe there'll be a revolution before tomorrow morning. And of course, there's another guy called Rothschild, Baron Rothschild, who said, buy when there's blood in the streets, even if the blood is your own. Why is that so? It's because when things are crashing, right? Let's just say you buy something at $1, and now you can buy the same item at 50 cents. Isn't that the best deal ever that you can get? Do you think those items you're going to get is that you're going to get 50% off, the better deal to buy, but you're losing money for $1 per edition? But sometimes it's actually good to buy. But the question is, when is the low of the low? Because some people say buy on the dip. But for us, we'll be like, no, you don't buy on the dip. You must exactly know when to buy on which dip. Because dips itself can become bigger dippers. And that's what's happening to the crypto space right now. Because of when to buy the dip, which dip to buy. You do not know, right? But we actually know the dates. So how do you feel about this kind of idea right now? Of course, someone's replying a lot for the chats right now. Cost stop loss strategies plays a big part. Concerns win small, lose big. Well, for us is we win big, lose small, or sometimes we don't even lose at all. That's for us. You understand why I say this thing when I show the track record later, right? So having this ability of time trading, we can do what we call forecasting events, like what you see here, where we did this forecast back then. Back then we were really small. So this is about 2-3 years ago. I came out to teach in 2019. By the way, I came out to teach in 2019, and I only went public in 2020 to teach. So back then we have a few people following us only, and this is some kind of prediction we did back then. Like for example, 29 June, July, I already told people the dates already, and look at when the dates appear there, the prices. It's exactly spot on, right? We are $1 different on 1 day difference. I predicted a Monday, it went on Friday on the price, but I'll more to that later, right? Of course, with the trading itself, there are a long-term trading and short-term trading. So what I'm going to show to you today is this idea called scalping. A scalping idea is this. You can actually buy something or sell something in markets. Let's just say that this trade is done in 11 minutes, where I actually told everyone to short at 12 p.m. this year. Right? This was done this year, 26 January. And within 11 minutes, the gold prices crashed really quickly. And that's how people make quick money within a few minutes. A move like this could actually grant you a few $100s using a small account to play. So that's what we call scalping, the fast trading itself. Of course, there's another terms of trading itself, which is what we call swing trading, where we could actually take a trade and I could announce a trade, signal a trade, and the markets will actually react maybe about 3 days to 1 week later in most cases. So for this case itself, something we did back in 2020, where I announced a trade, a signal, the market gave about 300 points in 10 hours, but the real trade took about 1 week to finish a 1,000 points move. So we did the 300 points move quickly, right? Then swing up, swing down, swing up, swing down. But eventually, we already knew the direction 1 week later, and they did hit our target. This is what we call a swing trading, or some people call it intra-week trading itself. That's what we call the slower trades. And this is where most value investors will be trading on as a fast scalping, or they'll do this, the real investor style things, where we are usually holding for 2 weeks up to a few years. So for us, we don't really like to do this because, well, you make very little money doing this. But as an investor, if you're buying something and hoping that it gains value over a long period of time, then you fall under this category. And do we have trading strategies on time trading on this category? We do as well. For example, a trade on a Bitcoin, where I told everybody to buy around 40,000. And by the time it hits the cycle, it shot up. Right? Look at this thing here. We have what we call a time dimension multiplier, or the CT structures. And by the time the market goes from 20th September, 1 month later, it went from about 44,000 all the way to around 59,000. It actually went to 61,000, but we officially got out at 59,000 because the market started dropping a little bit. But if we went all the way to the maximum at this point, which is about 67,000, we would have made about $23,000. But most of them who followed me on that signal itself made about $14,000 in about 1 month based on the value of 1 Bitcoin. So this is just one example of having an investor time trading cycle purchase, or based on the CT structures, right? And of course, jokes about the Wall Street bets itself, it's just we use it over here. So when we talk about predictive of events, right, it's like this. How do I know that this yellow point is going to reverse? Can you see this point here? This is before. After, immediately market drop all the way down to this point. I actually did do this thing publicly. You can see there's thousands of people here for this one. So we actually do occasionally share such information to the public, where we say, okay, these are the dates that things will happen. And it really do happen. And we are usually correct 90% of the time. And we can actually forecast all the dates in the future. Right? So this is what we call a BMM system, where usually there's no retracement for you to re-enter. Most of you guys will be like, let me wait for market come down again, right? Usually when we issue a BMM, no chance. For this case here, this is 2nd August. We told you on this date, right? Immediately it jumped. And when it ends on this yellow point, it stabilizes. And here's a proof that I did this call, right, on those dates. Of course, we created this system, and on our public channel, where you guys can actually join public Telegram, where we engage the public itself. We actually give you guys a free booklet to actually study some of strategies, because sometimes we give you guys free trades to take, and you can just follow us on that. And of course, the biggest giveaway we usually give is what we call a BMM system, and we gave a free book about it. You can just study really quickly how this is done, right? And of course, having said about this BMM system that we use so much, we have donated throughout the years, and we have given away so many before and after, like this case, where this is a big trade we did this was done last year. This is a before, this was after. Can you see the 3 energy bar cycles and all the way down? And if you don't get up by this, if you don't know the time cycles, you'll be flushed out by this move. We actually did this trade live on Facebook as well. We posted all this live. So having this ability itself, we have students who came along the way. For example, one of my first few students is called Albert. This guy's from India itself. Of course, he just said this thing based on a quick testimonial that the BMM system based on time analysis are spot on. That's what I should say about this. And of course, we have other people who took a trade like what you just saw, using $1,000. He made back about $2,000 in about 3 weeks, right? But you think that's impressive? Well, this guy's from Tommy. He actually did this year, same trade. He took about $1,000, but in 3 days, instead of $2,000 in 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, he did the same trade, $2,000, and he got back $8,000 in 3 days, using the same principle as the previous big cycle. And of course, he sent this video to the public about how he done it. So this is a case study that we do it live to the public as well. That people actually do this thing and people post the results. So this is a trade that we caught this year, the famous one. We've been talking about this since last December, and we tell the public since December that January, on that date, something will happen, which is on the 17th January, and the market crashed. And this is a big trade that drop that we gave a lot of money away, right? So, of course, with the big example just now, and I showed you about some scalping examples, there's also the fast money style, where people can come inside so fast and people say, oh my goodness, we make the money so quickly in a few hours, right? And of course, the reason why we try to show you this is because we want to show you that even ladies can do it. Like, for example, this lady called Esther, she's a property valuer, and she actually did this thing really quickly, and she made all the money quickly, right? This is a fast trade. So we'll bring you guys into the diagram later. But I just want to tell you guys that in 2021 itself, we gave away the public about 75,000 points. For those of you who don't understand, that's about 75,000 points giveaway for free. If you're playing at $1, you are expected to make about $75,000 with us throughout the whole year. If you play at $10, you're expected to make about $750,000 with us if you follow us throughout the whole year. And our losses of 2021 is under 1,000 points. That's our track record. I'll show it to you later. Right? So if you like what you're seeing right now, of course, we're going to go to part 2 of this webinar. Just want to see that you guys are still alive. You guys are still alive, right? We're going to start showing to you a little bit of what time trading is really like from this. All right, so thanks, Carol, for replying. What about the rest of you? Do you have any questions before we go into something deeper right now? Any questions for me? Remember our agreement? Keep an open mind throughout this whole webinar itself. Any questions? No questions? No questions? No questions? All right, thanks for replying. All right, very simple. So what made this guy here go and do something crazy like this, right? If somebody would come to me one day and say, hey, Max, you need to use astrology for trading, do you think that person is crazy? Here's the truth about it. When someone told me about that at the start, I was struggling for trading since 2008, right? And I got in professionally in 2019. So that's a good 11 years. And when somebody told me about this kind of stuff in 2017, I thought I was going crazy. I was struggling for 10 over years and I couldn't find a solution in markets. And when this person mentioned this to me about time trading, and I thought the person is crazy, I started reading about quotes and stuff about this idea of using astrology for trading itself. And I came across a few famous quotes that talk about this whole idea of time trading. So when I saw these quotes, I became intrigued, saying, why are famous people swaying by this idea of astrology and this and that in the markets? So you guys probably know about this thing, this guy called JP Morgan himself. JP Morgan famously said this thing: the millionaires don't use astrologies, the billionaires do. And he's regarded as America's greatest banker. He said this thing because at the point of time where he made the first $1 billion, he publicly said this thing. Isn't it crazy, right? And he liked astrology so much to the point that he built a library in New York. Let me show you the library, right? You can actually go to this thing called JP Morgan Library, and it's something you can visit. And you can literally click on it, and you can visit this place. And if you look at the carving on top of this place here, it's actually dedicated to astrology itself. Believe it or not, it's actually dedicated to astrology. So this library you can still visit today. It's dedicated to astrology from JP Morgan himself. And they call him the greatest banker out there. So that's number one. But then again, apart from people in the banking industry, what about people from the government itself? So there's this other guy who's not too famous. His name is called Donald T. Reagan. Not to be confused with the President Reagan. That's another guy, right? Donald T. Reagan is actually the former United Secretary of Treasuries, the guy in charge of money matters. And he's around from 1918 to 2003. And this is his famous quote he said about astrological trading or astrology itself. It is common knowledge that a large percentage of Wall Street brokers use astrology. Why do you think people of this level, of this power, are talking about this on Wall Street itself? Does it tell you out there that there's actually a lot more forces of markets than it meets the eye? And that there are many things that people teach out there that do not cover this aspect. It means that there are actually more than one systems out there. And we actually need to study about this. And because of this idea itself, I actually went deep into this whole analysis itself. Bringing you to the idea itself, I'm going to give you a quick rundown of astrology trading itself. One or two quick examples of it, all right? So please bear me, I'm going to teach you a little bit of astrology for you to ponder a little bit about the markets. So anyone trading Bitcoin here? Any Bitcoin traders who are listening here or bought Bitcoins? Anyone trading Bitcoins? Please let me know. I'll take a sip of water. Nobody got burned. Interesting. Anyway, let's simple. To do your first astrological module, I'm going to introduce this idea of this planet called Mars itself. So the whole astrological cycle is named after the Greek god and goddesses. It's not meant to be religious. It's just a story of how they actually name each and every character and how they come up with the astrological systems. So the planet Mars itself is named after a Roman god of war, right? Its natural ruler, horoscope ruler, is actually Aries itself. The kind of influence that Mars have when someone talks about a Mars impact on your natal chart is what we call the driver of force, desire, and action. And its energy is usually about passionate, aggression, ambitious, right? Or anger, macho, warlike. That's why people always say men are from Mars, women from Venus. So if you one day feel like this idea of this need to do something, sometimes it could be a Mars impact coming into your life right now that's giving you this natal chart kind of influence into your charts. It could be that. But how do we take this data and translate and put in the stock market? I'm going to show you some crazy data. So people have been asking me in 2020 about the idea of what I think about stock market. And back then in 2020, everybody kept saying what? $10,000 for Bitcoin, 10,000 for Bitcoin, 10,000 for Bitcoin, and your rocket, right? And for 2020, it started to somewhere in the midpoint. I actually told everybody that, hey, I don't think it's going to happen. 10,000 or whatsoever, I don't think it's going to happen. And at one point, in somewhere in March 2020, there's one day or something that Bitcoin actually went to $10,000 mark. And everybody said, oh my God, $10,000. And what happened after that? It crashed immediately. And as people are saying, buy the dip, it crashed all the way down to somewhere around the March, April period to as low as about $3,800. This point here, all the way down. And I was like, I knew it, you guys. I need to listen because there is no indicators that the market is still on a bull trajectory at that point. Until one fine day, I came up to a small guys who are following me and I told everybody, guys, maybe it's about time you guys buy Bitcoin. And that date was 21st July. Why? Why did I tell everybody 21st July you could consider buying Bitcoin? Because at the point where we were working on dimension model, that was way back in 2020 itself, right? That's really far back. I was playing this idea that, hey, there could be a trigger point for Mars itself. And truth to be told, it was actually Mars that drove the market up. From where? You guys see that there's a 3-point test, right, on this trend channel rejection. And there's a breakout here. And I told everybody there could be a decision zone, but you need something more powerful than just a breakout in structure. You need an astrological cycle. On that day itself, when I told everybody you might want to buy, right? There's something called a shadow period where Mars goes into sextile with Venus. A sextile is regarded as an easy energy. Venus, which is a female planet itself, is also regarded as a money planet. And because of that combination with a sextile, there's a sudden surge on that very day, 25th July, that caused this big spike of energy appear in the Bitcoin. That was the answer. And if you look at all the other dates that we name over here, things like retrogression, or you can look at all the events where we highlight to you. For example, retrogression cycles. When people see a sell-off like this, people panic, right? And when you see the daily bars are selling off continuously and breaking lower, most retailers out there will be intrigued to what? Panic sell. But what's interesting is that on this day when Mars decides to do something stupid, right? We as time traders know that a decision is going to be made on that day. And truth to be told, if you understand Fibonacci, and you see a breakout from there, this sell down part on the daily that most traders would think is a sell is actually a buy signal. And that was actually the lowest point for Bitcoin on the day. The lowest point. Most people think it's a sell, it's actually a buy. And this is how they trick the entire world to sell something where they're actually buying. They were using an astrological indicator to mark this. And the astrological influence from the planets itself. And that resulted in the surge of pricing. And of course, this is another example. Right after that, when the price was around 10,000 plus, right? And within a few months later, about 2 months later, it surged to around about $20,000. And of course, another decision was created on that day, on 13 November, by the big boys to decide whether to buy or sell. And these 3 bars on that day played an extremely important role within the big boys to know whether they are going to crash the markets or they're going to pump. And the answer was they pump it. And that's how you get a $61,000 Bitcoin on these days here, using astrological indicators from Mars alone. Interesting, right? What about this case here where the shadow currents? We had a compressive wedge model, right? You can see the compressive up and down, but the decision was already made since the start of the year. Even though Elon Musk tweeted over here, and this was caused by the moon, this energy spike was caused by the moon, and the rest of the retail world was seeing a wedge compression, the answers among the big boys was decided on 2nd January that they're going to pump Bitcoin again. And that's where you see the $30,000 going all the way to $61,000 on that year. They actually decided at the start of the year already, using astrology. So, if you think that's crazy, I'm going to bring a second concept to you about astrological trading. I'm sure most of you guys know about moon, right? The moon itself is what we call the ruler of Cancer. There's a horoscope called Cancer, they rule it. And it's often known as what we call the emotion multiplier. The moon in the natal charting is known as a mother, and of course the sun is known as a father. Here's some very quick interesting fact for you. For those of you who have not been married before, and you're dating somebody, if you're a girl and you're dating your boyfriend, on your charts, you're probably dating someone with Mars. The moment after marriage, right, the boyfriend chart, the Mars, will actually become the sun, and that's a husband. Likewise, if you are a male and you're dating your girlfriend, the Venus is actually your girlfriend. But as soon as after marriage, she becomes the moon. And the moon was actually formerly your mother. That's why some people always say that, oh my God, why am I dating my mom? Or something like that. Why are you acting like my mom? Or why people change after marriage is because of the natal chart shifting. So when you have a natal chart like this, this moon idea or this ruler, this moon cycle, the moon represents this oversensitivity, over-nurturing, protective, insecurity feeling. And since it multiplies emotions, for those of you who are trading here, what are the 2 emotions in the stock market? There are only 2 emotions in the stock market. What are they? Anyone make a guess? Answers actually on the screen. Right now, the 2 emotions in the stock market that you always hear from people are greed and fear. But guess what? Greed and fear are actually emotions. So how does this whole idea of this energy between the moon affecting us on humans? The most basic form of understanding where the energy comes from is this. Without the moon, there is no what. If there's no moon on Earth, there is no what. Anyone make a guess? Please make a guess, please make a guess, please make a guess. There's something about the world that if there's no moon, there's no what? Anyone? Guys, let me help you out. Tides. Okay, correct. And what are tides made of? What are tides? Jimmy, what is tides made of? Water. Okay, someone said water. And since the moon can control the tides and all, how many percentage of the human body is made of water? About 70%, right? About there, plus minus here and there. So, knowing the fact that if the moon can control the tides, technically speaking, it can actually control you on some level. I know it sounds a bit crazy, but there are actually 2 types of energy that the moon can control on planet Earth. Number 1, gravitational force called lunary nodes, the lunar nodes, correct? And luminaries exposure, light. Correct. Correct. That's correct. Caroline, that is exactly correct. It means there's some kind of energy influence behind it. And how do you actually understand that energy and emotions are being multiplied? All you do is to look at cultures around the world. If you notice, if you look at the Muslim, right, that little moon sign on their religious thing, they actually respect the moon a lot. If you look at the Chinese, there's things like the Mooncake Festival, where love stories are created over this whole mooncake. It's like they throw a mooncake to the river because some forbidden love is in that. And if you look into other tribes, right, people always celebrate on a full moon party or whatsoever. It's not about a party or whatsoever, but rather it's the emotion multiplying happening on the new moon and the full moon phase. and since the moon affects your emotions, that is why have you ever heard this term called the werewolf effect, where the Hollywood portrays somebody turning to a crazy wolf going around killing people during full moon? It's actually trying to hint to you that a normal human being becomes crazy during a full moon. And that's why in the mental institutions, right, whenever there's this full moon effect, it's somebody who's mental. Is what? The person is psychologically unstable, isn't it? So during a full moon, because emotions are haywire right now, what do you think is going to happen during full moon? This mental instability gets worse. That's why doctors and nurses are more on standby during the full moon or new moon phase. They see more crazy faces because during a full moon, if you love somebody, guess what happens to you on the full moon? You love the person a lot more. If you hate somebody, you want someone to die, you will feel that pressure a lot more during a full moon. And that's how the term lunatic come about. Whenever someone say they're crazy, lunatic, right, there's the word lunar inside that because the emotions are haywire, triggered by the moon. And that's a basic form of how we actually explain an energy like this into the markets. But of course, what's the use of explaining about this kind of stuff when I can show you the answers of the stock market? Right? What's the use? I can show you a lot of answers now, but let me show you some quick examples right now. So in the past, we do something called the moon phase structures. The moon actually has about 4 main phases: quarter moons, new moons, and full moons. And of course, we do live trading like this as usual, right? Like how we took a signal. Usually, we had this old system called the 3-wave movement of the moon, where we can actually trigger 3 points. We only want to make money from the third points. So this is wave 1. Wave 2 is always the overflush, the emotion flush, right? Something like this. And wave 3 is always the big move. So in the past, we used to teach this in our program, right? But we stopped teaching this because we found it's so ineffective on the hourly. We shifted our systems to the daily itself. But I just want to observe something. Look at the impact here. If you see a buying pressure like that, right, as the sudden sell off, usually there's a buy, right? There's a sudden buy again. This is the emotion buy, the FOMO phase, right? See the FOMO here? People come and retest FOMO again. But for a trade like this that we actually gave for free, right? What do you think a note or somebody saying this is trying to do? When the news came out, this Dow Jones surges 450 points in the best day ever since mid-July, and S&P closes on another record. What do you think the news is trying to portray here right now? What do you think it's going to do? They are trying to create FOMO. The word FOMO means fear of missing out. You see something from $100, suddenly go to $110. You might, oh my God, if I buy $110, it could go to $200. Is what most people think. And that's what they did for Bitcoin, isn't it? So if they were to trigger you on the full moon phase, which they always do for the news, and that's why the news is never your friend, we will never trade on the news. We don't look into value investing or fundamental investing at all. It's because the answer is this. When you see something like this appearing and this surge appear, the news will say, oh my God, best new track record, breaking high record, right? Sounds good, right? What do you think the news is trying to get you to do? They're trying to get you to buy. They're playing on emotions because there's a full moon on the day. And because there's a full moon on the day, this is what the big boys do to you. It crashes you after that 3 times the amount, 4 times the amount. The news is never your friend. Can you see this is where the full moon came about? This is the drawback, and the moon and the news appear here. And can you see this point here? After the moon, it crashed. You gain so little, right? And if you don't get out in time, you lose everything and a lot more. That is why most of you guys going to the stock market will lose everything, because you're playing on emotions. Because wave 4 is always the deadliest wave. And if you don't understand the moon cycles, if you don't know there's such thing called a moon cycles, you're going to die because of this. This is how you actually die in the stock market. That's why they always say the stock market is an emotion game. And the news is never your friend. They're owned by the big boys. They own like people who I work for. That kind of stuff. They own it. People consult me to tell them what's going to happen in the markets. They own it. And we know that they're going to do this because why? Emotions are the highest. The most number of idiots will come in. The most number of retailers. So it's my job to actually warn you guys, say, hey, this is how to protect yourself. And this is just some examples of events from the moon. Can you see the moon? There, can you see this doji here? On when we combine moon, Mars, and Mercury. Do you think this search here was an accident? It wasn't. It was created because there was a moon emotion cycle on a day. That's why it's called doji. And see that? That's a power booster. A doji pumped the market. It was never an accident. And can you see how powerful the moon cycle is? When it triggered this buy here, $11,000. It triggered all the way up because of combination between 3 planets, Moon, Mars, and Mercury. You must understand how the cycles of the planets work. And you can catch crazy moves like this. It may not be the best price, right? It's because 11,000 something, but once you catch it, there's no retracement. And this is what the kind of tricks you get. Immediately all the way to the top. Why wait and buy and listen to all the markets say to the moon, to the moon, to the moon for months? Get yourself shit scared over here at $3,000 before it goes to new high. Why get yourself in such emotion when you actually know which day the markets will actually react? This is time trading. So likewise, you can see the Dow Jones here. In fact, here, the moon came in here on this yellow bar. There's a sudden surge. It is all pre-planned. And I can show it to you on any other markets later. Right? Of course, we are not done with the basic astrological sharing. There's also things like swing cycles of Mercury. So for example, things like Mercury. So Mercury is a very unique planet because there's what we call a dual cycle. Because there's what we call dual rulership. There's something called a Gemini ruler and a Virgo ruler. So have you ever noticed a trend in the market before? That every few months, you'll hear some sweet trend in the markets. Whether it's a good trend or not, some sweet, new, crazy TikTok stuff. You guys, have you seen that before? Have you always wondered what caused a sweet trend or new sensation like this? I mean, let me show to you some stupid things that came up from the past, right? Number one, who heard of this thing called Tide Pod Challenge? Anyone heard of this thing called Tide Pod Challenge? You know, guys don't know about this? Let me just tell you to you what it means. The Tide Pod Challenge is a stupid TikTok challenge where the kids are daring other kids and people to eat detergent. That's called a Tide Pod, the one they put in the washing machine. And there's actually people dying from, people ending up in hospital from poisoning because they want to get famous, they eat it in front of the YouTube and friends and doing stupid things like this. Then, the parents should also know about this one. It's called the Momo Challenge. Stupid events like this. Have you ever heard of this before? Where the goal of this Momo Challenge is to get your kids to commit suicide by hanging. There's actually such a trend. And some kids actually got terrorized by this, saying that this thing is real. And of course, a more innocent one of things like Ice Bucket Challenge. You guys heard about this, right? I'm sure. What triggers all this human stupidity? The answer is very simple. It comes directly from Mercury. Every few months, you get some sweet challenge or some sweet dance or whatsoever, right? It's caused from this planet called Mercury. Because Mercury itself is actually in charge of two things. The Mercury energy is in charge of consciousness of communication and human consciousness. It actually affects human logical and rationality of people. Do you think it's stupid enough to eat detergent out there? Guess what? There are people who are doing that, and they make it a challenge. It's because of Mercury effect. And the Mercury effect is known as a trickery and both reliable and trickery. It's basically, in the Greek methodology, the messenger of God, but this person's an asshole. Right? So whenever Mercury comes to play, usually you see big events in the market like this. Sometimes it can even trigger crashes because of Mercury. But of course, you need a few other events, not just Mercury alone, because sometimes you can switch it outside the markets. Right? And that's one of the ways how we actually calculate crashes like this, or these things like this. One of the ways we calculate, and how we actually know when Mercury comes to play. And that resulted in a lot of people making a lot of money because we actually taught some of them how to do it. Of course, I'm not going to teach you the ways how to do it right now. I'm just showing you the after effect. You can see from this case here of this year, December 11, I told you about the big crash. And by January, all the people posted their earnings. We have people who are making $20,000 in 3 days. It's actually quite common. And we do it publicly. Right? So what is our track record? After showing you all the stuff and you hear me back for probably an hour, what's our actual track record? In 2020, the public has asked me, hey Max, if you're so damn good, why don't you start showing us a track record and do it all live? And I took up the challenge because in 28 May 2020, I started recording everything I shared with the public. And by the end of the year, from 28 May to 25th December 2020, we gave away a bit of things, about 8,000 points. Our loss of that point for the public is about 1,280. Our break even and win rate is about 88.57%. And which means our net gains about 6,900 points. That's in 2020. Then we went big and loud. So this is what we did for 2021. Can you see all the trades there? Everything's recorded. Everything's recorded, right? And guess what happens for 2021? In 2021, we gave away a maximum about 75,422 points. Our minimum giveaway of the entire year, that's still minimum as well, is about 27,778.52 points. Our loss of the entire year is only 789.23 of the entire year. And all is done live. In other words, on average, for every dollar we earn, for every dollar we lose, we earn about $95 on the highest. And at the lowest point, we make about $35 to 1, which means that every time we earn $35, we only lose $1 on average throughout the entire year. That is what we call RR ratio. And this was all given free last year. But what about this year? This year, who cares about what's happening last year, right? What about this year? This year, to date, we started the recording from 4th January at about 2:21 a.m. Singapore time. And we have so far donated about $43,000, 43,000 points this year. And our minimum is 24,000 points. This year, we lost a little bit more at 1,000 points because I traced the market, stupidly traced the market. But look at our win rates for this year so far. As of right now, NOW, today, we are standing at about 92.73% accuracy win rate with a break even of 3.64% and a loss of 3.64%. This is unheard of any markets out there, on any traders out there. And the best part is, everything you see here, you can always see, normally see a lot of wins, right? All done live in the markets. We actually do everything live right now, and we're giving it away for free. That's what we do. So I do not know whether you guys have seen any trader do this before, but we do this live. The most recent trade we did is 5th July so far. Today is 11th July. And because we have an ongoing trade right now that kind of hit our break even already. Right? So this is not a brag, but this just shows to you that we stand firm on what we actually deliver to the markets. So, of course, we have other partners. Like I say, we work with other institutions as well. So this is one example of one of our partner institutions where we took $1 million account and we turned it to $500 million in 3 years. And you can see our win rate percentage. is usually around 83% to 85% win rates, because I consult these guys as well. And how we turn 1/million to 5 million, 3 years. Right? No surprise, right? Given our win rates. You see that? It's pretty obvious. So, because I'm going to leave this seminar with a quick indication of the astrology itself for the standard astrology, not Uranian astrology. Uranian astrology talk about corners, Zeus and all, but rather on the natal chart itself, let's talk about things like the sun and what the sun means. Usually, the quick version is the father figure, right? The boss of the solar system. Talk about moon, which is the motherly figure. Mars is aggressive. You guys all know this. Venus is the money planet. Mercury is about communication. But here are things that I did not tell you guys earlier. What happens when Pluto comes to play? For example, in 2025, death of the old systems and into the air era. Pluto does death and rebirth. Look at what's happening in the US right now and Ukraine. For the last 248 years, US had something what we call a Pluto return on the 22nd February. And when do you think Ukraine war started after that? 24th February. The Russians were actually using astrology to actually trigger the war. And they know that US cannot intervene as much. They couldn't do an outright direct conflict. Because why? They chose on a Pluto return. They ensure that US is being jinxed first before they attack. You can Google the point there, 22nd February, Pluto return 2020. And that's where death and rebirth come about. Of course, we have other things like the Jupiter expansion, Saturn's contraction, and of course, Uranus, your anus, is always about association with the truth. And that's why Uranus is always a pain in the ass, right? The ass is always, the Uranus is always a pain in the ass because the truth is always a pain in the ass. That's one quick way to remember. And lastly, we have something called a Neptune, which is what we call the dreamer planet. So you see what happened recently to Boris Johnson's, and look what happened to all the events right now, like the Abe one, Boris Johnson's. You're talking about the most recent Sri Lanka one. What do you think trigger those government teams? Those events that recently happened, whether it's Abe, Boris Johnson's, or whether Sri Lanka presidents, is also not an accident. You know what caused it? The reversal of Neptune into retrogression. It happened last month. It was a trigger point event. I can even get you the date. I can run the program through on the date itself. And that was a trigger of reality striking. No more dreaming. Right? So that's just one way to how we actually identify this. So I shared a lot of information so far. I just want to understand from the ground, for those of you who are still listening right now, how do you feel when I'm sharing you all this information? How do you feel? How do you feel right now? Just type it on the chat real quickly. What the rest of you? Are you guys still listening? You're impressed? Okay. Which is what? Type what? Okay. So there's a lot to take in about what we can do in the markets and what we can do with time trading itself. And I just want to show to you that this can be done, and we have always been doing this for a long time already. Right? So if you think what I've just showed to you is crazy enough, and thank you so much for replying in the chat right now. If you think this is crazy, let me show you the true power of time trading. Right. So there's this guy called Erwin. Remember what we had this commitment at the start? What's our commitment at the start? What did I stress on you guys? Please accept everything with an open mind. If you cannot accept what I say, let it all go later on. All right? Let it all go. If you think whatever I'm sharing is rubbish, let it go. I don't need you to have this ingrained. I'm just sharing with you something that how we calculate and be as scientific as possible throughout our sharing, right? So of course you can ask me questions. So Erwin just said this thing, one of my students said this thing. I think the class Max is a real deal, and what he shared will definitely be an eye-opener. Attend his free talks with an open mind. All right. So remember at the start, I showed you about this thing called the Go effect and how we did a prediction. And you know what's interesting about this prediction that I made? I gave a price and I gave a date. I gave 2 dates actually. 2 dates. All the prices you see there are not accidental. They are based on what we call dimension harmonical levels analysis using time trading. And be it on the trigger point, there's actually a short and long, the market trigger on the long. because we know about time trading itself and we did this thing, I'm going to ask you this quick question right now. Who here heard about this thing called the Beirut explosion? Who knows about this thing called the Beirut explosion? You know, suddenly near this country, near Middle East, not Middle East, Israel, there's a sudden explosion. And of course, some people probably saw the wedding photo, suddenly there's boom, and things flying around, right? What if I tell you today that there's a possibility that somebody out there is not happy about gold prices and that probably triggered an explosion? What if I tell you? You think I'm crazy, right? But I want you to look at the astrological terms. What did I just share with you earlier? I spoke to you about Mars, right? Being aggressive, macho, warlike, right? And I spoke to you about Jupiter really quickly, expansion. If you look at the date of the explosion, it's on 5th August, and exactly on that date, that's what we call a squaring energy. But what's interesting about gold prices is this thing. Gold is supposed to collapse at 2023. I repeat, gold was supposed to collapse at 2023. Because that was the previous price, right? Can you see here? Gold was supposed to collapse at 2023. But the funny thing about gold is that it actually went to 2020 on a day. It wasn't enough. Somebody out there is pissed, we suspected. And how do we actually calculate all the prices? Let me explain to you real quickly. Look at the chart, look at the data points I have. I say it's going to go to 1981, right? Then 2023, right? Then 2075 and 2170. So if you look at the market events leading up to the explosion, there was actually a surge in the Monday. Instead of 1981, there was a sudden jump. It means that the big boys are all pumping in. And it started at 1985. And we know from that point of view that there's a lot of emotions buying. And then it comes to stage 2. There was a full moon. Now, remember I shared about full moon emotion of FOMO buying, right? FOMO buying, right? On the 3rd August, but it's 11:59, 58. So it's as good as 4th August already. And that full moon itself, you guys know, right? FOMO, people rushing to buy, right? Emotions are high, right? You should know that right now. It pushed the prices of that full moon of gold from 1981, 1985 itself, all the way to 2020.6. But we calculated 2023. Somebody out there is not happy about it. And what happens right after the closing? The explosion came. Why do you think the explosion came, and what is your grandfather's story about gold? What do you think your grandfather and grandmother always tell you about gold? When there's what? When there's what? Buy gold. What's the word? What's the story behind it? When's what? Anyone make a guess? What do you think your grandfather and grandmother tell you? Buy gold. Your old grandfather and grandmother advice. Even some of the parents also say buy gold. War, buy gold. Uncertainty, things uncertain, hyperinflation, buy gold to hedge against it, right? Crisis, buy gold. Correct. And of course, this grandfather saying, right, came from this thing called the Executive Order 361, where they confiscated, I think it's 361, I forgot already. I need to double check my notes, right? Because why? Gold was confiscated back in the days. Right? If you look at the history of Switzerland, look at the history of US, the answers are all there. Right? It's a very, very horrible thing they did. So likewise, when there's a crisis, people will say, buy gold. And because there's an emotional fear, and there's a crisis of an explosion, what do you think happened to gold prices immediately after that? 2020.6, there's a sudden jump to what? To my predictive level, 2074. And the price of the market went to when? 2075.3. What does it mean? It means that the price of gold has hit to the big boy level and they're happy about it. They started dumping the market. And what do you think happened when they start dumping? When people are buying for $2,000? Within 4 days, the gold prices crashed all the way to 1863. Your grandfather and grandmother are all wrong. Whenever people started talking about buying, when the men on the street started buying something, I know it's time to get out. When I hear the auntie uncles say buy, I know they're going to scam everybody again. And this is what they did. Can you see this thing here? When your explosion came in here and the moon cycle is here, they started pumping all the way up. They were literally robbing from you guys. And they planned these highs months before that. Why? Look at the news. What do the news from all the reputable sites say, things like CNBC, Market Insider, things like Bloomberg, do you think they are your friends? They say, oh, gold could go to $4,000. Say some analysts from don't know which sweet bank. Gold is certainly going to store as high as $3,000. Famed investor Michael Novogratz says, idiot. Do you think the news is your friend? When they say this thing, no. They're prepping you to actually steal from the poor again. That's what they'll be doing. And guess what happened to the current price? If you look at 2075, right, look at this price, right? Now look at Ukraine war. We are all about facts here, right? My job is all about facts. They did the same shit to you guys again this year. Look at this. XAU USD, right? You close this everything. Now I want you to reverse back. And I want you to see when they did the Beirut explosion, it was over here. And I want you to take the straight line right now and go to the day the war started. And can you see the high here? The two high point here? The Russia war here? Do you think they are your friends again? Look at that. It's a scam. And look where gold prices are right now. 1735. All the idiots are getting scammed. Because the markets never respect that. It's a game. It's a time trading game. Every single point of reversal here is pre-planned. And I can calculate to you right in front of the face if I want to show you how we get every single reversal point. Can you look at the war? Remember the war started on the 22nd, 24th, right? The war started around here. This point here, so much uncertainty. It pumped all the way to this high. And they scam you as how they scammed before. It's all a game. And this is why I come inside here to do a webinar like this. Why? What do you think I did this for? What's my true purpose of doing a webinar like this? To make money off selling courses or what? The truth is, no. My job to the public right now, I'm actually saving as many people as possible. My job is to actually forewarn people what kind of things they're trying to do to actually steal from you guys again. This is my job. This is what I've been doing for a while, for the last 2-3 years, the public, and this is what I've been doing for the rest of you. Is to actually pre-warn you, and better yet, to teach you how to do it. All these events, highs and lows, every single point of view can be calculated, and they're not based on your standard technicals you see online. They're actually based on banking softwares that I use, right? And of course, here's something for you to ponder. Do you actually think the media is really a friend? There's a YouTube video online that you should go watch later. I'll send something later. And you need to ask yourself, do you think it's all owned or they're free? The answer is they're not, right? So, but here's the good news. In 2021, where we entered this thing called Age of Aquarius, it's what we call the Earth to Air transition if you study astrology, right? But what I'm trying to show you here right now is this. Every single month in the market, there's always a theme of event. Every single month, there's always a rigging event. And we can actually sniff it out. That's my job. And I can actually tell you exactly how it's done every month, including now. That's why I can do my track record, even the most recent one, 5th July, right? And of course, because of that itself, we can actually identify why last year Bitcoin couldn't do 100K. And the answer is very simple. It has to do with the Jupiter and Saturn path on my screen right now. Let me show it to you. For those of you who are doing Bitcoin, let me just on Bitcoin for you. Let's see if I can get BTC, USD. I have this one for IC Corp, not the most accurate. But the answer is very simple. Why do you think the market couldn't break this high? Is this answer here. Which multiply this up. There you go. The reason why you see the reaction points on the markets, let me just show it to you. Look at all the highs. Look at all the lows here. The answer is actually on the opening price and closing price. That is why when I had a bet with a friend last year, people say 100K, I say it's impossible. Why? When it comes to November last year, I knew I won the challenge because none of the prices, none of it, right? If you look at closely here, Did you see any price closing above this line? It did go to the high, right? It broke the high here, right? But did any of the price break and close above it? The answer is none. Because on that very day, it hit there, it crashed down to this price here. Likewise, the retest here, it hit this price point and it crashed down. That's why to all the idiots out there that say 100K, 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 well, I'm so sorry if you buy into that bullshit. The market actually crashed all the way down to this price. Can you see how the market buy back on certain prices? These are where the institutions are buying your Bitcoin at the price points. And by the time it breaks this line here, they dump it. The big boys will buy here. They buy here. But some other big boys dumping it here. And now Bitcoin is here. Which means what? There's a possibility that Bitcoin can go even lower. It can go to what? Let me give you the answer right now. Based on calculations, it's actually in the Mercury cycle. So let me just write for you the answer here. It could actually go into this point here. Can you see this line here? This is where Bitcoin might bounce on in terms of pricing based on Mercury. Can you see that the moment it broke here, this Mercury line, it crashed all the way down again. This is your true support resistance on the market, not the shit, not the trade line shit you see from all the other groups out there. You know what most people will do? They say, oh, it's a straight line here. You see the buy level here, you buy here, right? You see a lot of things. Oh, why break? Why break? You know, a lot of people always do that. It's because the planetary cycles of how the planetary move and interact with each other is the real answers in time trading. And this is the true support resistance of the market. That's it. Do you understand now how time trading works and why this is so bloody scary? And why is it so powerful? Because we have systems like this that you guys don't have. And of course, I can get you the systems like that. All right? So I hope this actually answers your questions as to why Bitcoin couldn't go 100K last year. So just to let you know, the good news is that humanity is moving into what we call an air cycle for the next 200 years, which means that whatever system we know from the past in the industrial revolutions from the 1800s, which is the Earth system, it's obsolete. That's why when COVID came, and COVID is a what? COVID is an airborne disease. If you look at it, okay, let me just give you an example right now. Look at when SARS came. It came somewhere in 2013, right? If I'm not wrong. I forgot if it's 2013 or 2003. But you must look at the era. What kind of era is that? It's an Earth era, which means what? Diseases that spreads during Earth era, if they're air-based, they will not flourish. Then comes COVID in 2020 to 2021, where they move into what? Air cycle. Suddenly the whole world is affected. What does it mean? It means that the elemental cycle of the period affects the kind of jobs, the kind of things that will flourish, and the kind of elements of the era. Whether you like it or not, humanity is going through a major technological shift for the next 200 years. And you know, when was the last time we had something similar like this? It was in 1980s to 2000, where for the first time in modern history, humans had a taste of air era. And in those years, companies like Creative, born in 1981, air era, right? Creative, the sound cut company in Singapore. Without them, there's no sound cut, right? You can't hear me talking here right now. People like what? What are the big inventions in 1980s? The internet. So if you think that the internet changed the world, guess what? For the next 200 years, things like multiverse and all that kind of shit, it's going to flourish, or most likely to flourish. But there's a danger of an air era. Things get obsolete very fast, which means that what you think is the latest tech will change very quickly in the air era. But this also means that your property prices and all may not be the best investment out there. Sometimes it's about letting go. Buy and let go. Aquarius, no holding on, because no earth. Just to let you know about this era of investing that you're in right now. Right? So you must understand this is where astrology comes in really. So, of course, we're going to end very soon. Right, it's 9:30 already. We want to showcase to you that apart from this thing, there's also a mathematical way of calculating. And it's actually extracted from W.D. Gann himself. And this is what Gann said. He said that my calculations are based on cycle theories, mathematical sequence, and maths is the only science. All power under heaven and on earth is given to the man who masters simple science of maths. By knowing the exact vibrations of every single stock, I'm able to pinpoint exactly which point the stocks will receive support and resistance. Vibration is fundamentals. Nothing is centered from this law, and it applies to every phenomenon on earth, including your life. And this was actually taken from a 1929 interview quotes through a report like this. And you can see that he's able to predict all the highs and lows of the market. But guess what happens for us? We have spent the last 4 years, 3-4 years, and the team that I work with, the team I hired, we finally cracked it. We're actually able to pinpoint the same vibration harmonics as what Gann did in 1929. This is called LV systems. It's the most powerful system right now we have. And of course, we do sell this to the big boys as well. We sell this in institutions and people buy from us, this data. But this is how some people actually make about a few $1,000s from this. Right, you can see from there, right? They make a few $1,000s. So I'm not going to hamper too much of that. And of course, with every good program out there, we talk about the latest Q. This was a little bit old. This was on 21st July Q. It was triggered because of a dimension cycle. I forgot what's the exact meaning really for this thing. But we also did this live, right? So let's do a quick recap of what we've done so far. I shared with you a lot of systems out there right now. I shared with you the BMS systems. I spoke to you about the moon trading scalping system, Mercury, how Mercury works. I showed you my track record as well. And of course, I explained to you how some of the time cycles and events works and some of the value works. So here's the big questions. Did you guys get value so far by coming into a webinar like this, where you see things that are not meant for the public to see? Did you guys get any value? Right? Anything? Something new? Right? You guys, this 1 over hour with me so far, I guess it's been fruitful, right? What about the rest? Only 1 or 2% get value. What about the rest of you? I'm showing you guys some very crazy stuff already. What about the rest? Let me know if you see this thing. I'll take a sip of water. Okay, so why am I doing all this? Why do you think I'm doing all this? Very simple. Like many people out there, I started off as a retailer myself. I started my first trading course in 2008. I was learning through this company called Nexus. And that sponsored me because back then I was a broke uni student, right? And for the whole period, I was struggling for many years until 2017 when I heard this idea called time trading itself. And I took this idea called time trading and I worked on it. And people call me crazy. People say, "Oh my God, this thing don't exist, this and that." And I was looking around for a mentor. I had this little botak guy here, the bald guy here. His name's called Mike. And Mike was the one who actually believed in me. Went and vouched for me to his bosses and say, "Give this guy a chance. He got something interesting out there." And eventually, I find myself working in a prop firm, and that was 2019. So by the time when I entered the first prop firm, I started training my first batch of students, and of course, my team that I was with was handling about 200K AUM account under management, and it was the same year that I started forming a small research team. That was 2019 itself. So by the time I moved on to a bigger fund and this and that, I became affiliated with some of other brokerages. Like right now I'm in Sydney. I'm actually in 2 days time I'm going to the broker house, one of my brokerage funds here in Sydney right now. So I'm having a meeting and lunch with them. They pay for me. Of course, my room here is sponsored by them as well in Sydney. This hotel I'm staying right now is sponsored, so it's all free for me. You know what I mean? So it's actually paid by these guys. And I joined other funds, smaller funds as well. And we started approaching other companies and started consulting for them. And what's the best testament for my level is that I got a partnership with Optima. So the system that we've seen so far is based on Optima, right? This company called Optima. And who's this company called Optima itself? If you Google my company name, the brand name is called Conut, right? By the type Optima, you see that my brand is on the top search with them. Right? Can you see the brand here? Can you see this whole Optima stuff? And what's this Optima about? You click on the Optima itself, explore Optima. They are the people who supply the technology that you see to what? To professional analysis, portfolio manager, private traders, quants, and all the big boys. If you click Explore Optima, you know who are their clients? Or who are people who use this kind of software? Not the retailers, not people like you and I, or most you and I people, the retailers. It's actually used by the bankers, by the fund managers. People like Morgan Stanley, Bank of America, right? All these things. People who use software like this. This is why you guys are dying in the stock market, because they're using technology that don't technically exist, and they're fighting against you. And you guys are stupidly happily signing up for all the programs out there about some traders say, oh my God, learn how to trade with 3 simple steps on my system. No, it's not so simple. It's never been so simple at all. And that's why majority of you guys who go in the stock market are dead. Because why? There are technology so advanced that I've just showed to you that is not meant for the common folks in the markets. But this is why time trading exists, because we are using the exact same technology against the big boys. And that's why I'm able to call for the dates. So I became their official partner for that. And that's why I can sell Optima under their brand, right? So this is not to brag or anything, but just to show to you that we have the rights in Asia to do this right now. And by now, this year, I started working in this other company, talks with this company called Dampac. It's an MAS regulated fund. They have CMS license, right? So this company called Dampac Markets. And of course, I work with this other guy called James, and I'm currently their master signaler and strategist in the company. So I'm actually giving them data right now and helping their team out and training the traders. So this is where I am right now in terms of my professionalism for the markets. So sounds like a successful story, right? But wait to hear what exactly happened to me and how. And of course, you guys mostly know because of Alaric, but I was actually struggling with a lot of other stuff. I was forced to return from Australia back in 2015, 16, and I lost everything. And there's a lot of gurus out there in markets, right? There's a lot of people say, oh my God, learn from me this training system and you make a lot of money. A lot of stupid shit out there, right? I can tell you upfront with you, 9 out of 10 courses out there are pure bullshit. There are people out there who say, oh my goodness, they went onto YouTube, research a few things, put together a course of a few $1,000s. And it's really sad of what this whole industry is turning into. So that's the reason why I came to this picture, because I'm sick and tired of all this, because I've been cheated by these people. And during the whole process, I lost a lot of accounts. And I was practically the 99% of all these retailers out there before I find time trading. And being a fresh grad somewhere in around 2016, 2017, I got scammed and I lost over $50,000 US. I was fresh grad, no money back then. And during the whole process, I got the debt. I tried a lot of other businesses. I did F&B. I even went on TV to be a national embarrassment to become a master chef. I was actually in the top 18 for Singapore side. And of course, I did F&B. I did Frisking Supply and all. And at the worst point in my life, I was actually driving Grab and Uber for 4 to 5 years of my life. I started driving Grab and Uber since around 2015 when I came back from Australia being a fresh grad. I lost everything. And I lost a lot of money through trading as well, to all the programs out there. And of course, this is the real story how it actually happened for me, right? So basically, I got scammed, I got cheated, I pumped money into those scam funds as well. Things like 6 caps and all, they exist. You can go and Google them out. And I will never go back to such a life again. And then being in that shoe, if any of you who are going to the investment world, this path sucks. Right? Whatever I went through sucks. And I really hope that none of you have to go and suffer this path at all. And that's the reason why we actually came to this conclusion of putting this time trading to the public. Things that are kept over from the public is what we actually do. And that's the reason why I need to ask you guys. If any of you are keen to become time traders, then listen up for the next few minutes, right? Because why? What's presented to you right now is probably the only few opportunities in the world right now that people are willing to teach you a time trading system and will showcase to you exactly how to predict the market events. And we do this for free for this public channel, right? So here's the big questions. If you guys want to become time traders, please let me know. And of course, if you want to become time trader, then stay for the next 5 to 10 minutes. I'll just run through really quickly. All right, thank you very much. So to become a time trader is not a one-day thing. It's not even a 1 month process, unfortunately. We came out doing this as a non-profit, right? So what our job to do is that we are actually advocating for time trading in the market space. And if you want to become a time trader, very simple. We are using simple methods. We're teaching simple methods and complicated methods, of course, on how to predict events days to months in advance with ease. So basically, what happens in the program is that you'll soon have the ability to actually pinpoint exactly which day market will reverse, or you know, like roughly 1 or 2 days in advance, right? And of course, because we've been scammed and all these things, we not only focus on just how to predict, but how to protect yourself and how to filter out a broker, how to filter out things like who's a scammer, who's not a scammer, how to check for who's legit and all, how to check for regulations, stuff like that. And conducting this for the last 2 years, we realize that it's actually very common for students who go through with us to earn back everything they spend with us during the program, something unheard of in the industry. And we do not need you to learn how to do astrological trading or natal trading to become a time trader. Why? It's because we actually include part of that into the training package itself. So for the whole process itself, and by the way, we don't like to do upselling. We hate upselling, right? It takes about this whole process to go through, and it's all together in 1 month. Basically, by coming to this program itself, we will actually give you pre-class materials if you're totally new to actually be on par, because the program actually has not only the retailers or new traders, but we actually train the professionals in the program. People who are bankers, fund managers, all will usually come for this program. And we also go through the whole foundation process so that you will not be lost. That's why this program is actually safe for new traders out there. And by the time it can't get difficult, it's somewhere in the advanced technicals, which will take about 3 days before we go to something more professional, which the bankers are there for as well, which is the time trading component of the program, where we teach you how to predict prices and events in the future. And of course, what's the point of listening program where you cannot absorb everything? We have refreshers and other kinds of supporting programs for you in the whole process, and everything is recorded. All right. And of course, if any of you guys who are corporate or funds, please, and you guys want to do for the fund itself, please let me know. We can actually do a crash course version to exactly pinpoint what the fund needs. So, of course, this is what we do for the foundation level. We want to get everybody to a certain level. That's why we give this part for free. And in terms of our program itself, we have a guarantee clause, which means that you can come for a program, pay for a program, come for a program. If you cannot understand for the first 2 days in the foundation, you can withdraw for free. So basically, we're making it risk-free for you. Right, so you can come in for a free class. If you think this is right for you, continue. If you don't want to do it, please withdraw from the program. And of course, by the time it comes to the advanced technicals, is what we call everybody's favorite printing money machine. This is where we teach you how to actually scout and how to trade very fast in the systems and understand a little bit of dimensions trading. Right, this is where things get interesting. And it comes to the most powerful part of the program, how to predict what happens in the 1700s, 1800s, 1900s, from 2020 onwards. We will actually come to you in the historical events of the year. We actually analyze events of the year and how we take the energy and we duplicate and predict future events using that. And of course, we teach you how to use things like secret geometries and of course, Fibonacci trading and dimension analysis. It's all covered. The program that you saw me use will be given for free for 1 month. It's optional programs because most of the time we're using TradingView. But but if you want to use a program, the one I'm using, you get to use it for free for 1 month because it's sponsored by Optima for 1 month in this program, right? So if you want to use the programs that we use as professional level, it's given as well. So of course, we do bring people in to train with you. We bring things like astrologers and we teach you how to manifest things and stuff like that. So the program itself is not just a training program, but we'll teach you how to deal with the money once you make it. So basically, the program is so good at the point that there are people who make so much money and they don't know what to do with it. So we actually tell them what to do with the money. And we actually teach them how to send the money to where or how to create a system to ensure that you always have money involved. This is what our promise to do. And this is what's different from other programs out there, right? And we give you job opportunities as well if you want to work in this industry. So we have a lot of research. We have researchers still going on right now. And these are some stuff that we created that do not exist in the world markets. So if you Google any of these things, you will not be able to find the answers, most of them. Because most of them are created by us, but some of them are actually decoded from old grandmasters in time trading. So in the past, we have people like W.D. Gann, who's a grandmaster in time trading. People like Jerome Bauer. Jerome Bauer, yeah, correct. Then we have people like Michael Jenkins. These are some of the time traders in the past. Larry Passato as one of the time traders as well. So we actually study the grandmasters in the markets as well. People who don't even know about it. Right? We actually study their work and we decode some of them. We actually give this to some of you guys out there, and we make the simple job of looking into all the ancient texts, because some of the stuff we actually go up to 2,000 years old. When we take the data, we actually extract it to the modern day. So this is some of the stuff we do, right? So what do we do about our systems here? We show you what's taught out there and what's taught in our system, right? Guess what? We actually cover everything here on the list, which means that you know how a retailer thinks and you know how a professional thinks. This is my job. I actually cover all ground. Right? So this is what we actually do for you guys. And of course, we do have other benefits like free signals sometimes. We give you the latest research information. We do meet our students as well. And we also bring people in to join professionally if they want to join, right? So we also bring VIPs in. You can get to meet like software engineers of markets and stuff like that. So all these are included in the package. And of course, one example is this, we actually bring people in the industry. So this one of my students here is called Zaid. Zaid started with me in somewhere in 2021, January. And by May 2021, he was making $6,000 passive income in the stock market, working with me. And that $6,000 passive income led him to go for holiday last year to Europe for 1 whole month with his family. And when he came back from Europe, you can see this thing here. Ask him why is he so nice to buy me a gift for New Year's Day. You know why he bought me a gift? It's because that very month itself, he made $12,000 passive income in January working with me in the fund. We actually bring people like him into the funds. And this guy, by the way, this guy is a Muslim guy, right? So he's actually with me in Sydney. He went back already, and he was having a meeting with me in the fund that day. So this guy was actually with me in Sydney. I want to show you the pictures, but next time I'll show you guys the picture. I show the pictures of my students, right? That he's with me in the hotel room over here. So we want to show to you that we actually bring people in this professionally as well. We have opportunities like this, all right? So this is what most programs out there will charge you if you go and take a program out there, because you've seen too many idiots out there, right? If you go out there and study, if you learn things like basic candle, all this, some places teach you free, some places charge you thousands of dollars, right? If you learn how to do support resistance, some people teach you for a few thousand, some 700. Online classes, some of these are free. You can basically, half of stuff here, you can actually literally YouTube for free, right? I'm just to tell you, if you find whatever I type here, YouTube them, you can start learning trading yourself. This is what most people out there are doing for free. But of course, you know that time trading will not be something you can learn out there, right? So those are what we actually do, but we'll show you to you on things of value itself. Basically, we are doing things that are worth more than $25,000 for sure, right? So, of course, you see things like this from Teck Leong and all, where people talk about the program itself and say, forget all the other programs out there. Max is an amazing mentor that dedicates his time and effort into ensuring the success of our students. He's a man who stands by his promises and over-delivers, better yet, at a fraction of price because we're non-profit, right? And what's offered in markets. I felt like a fool, that's what he said, joining other programs who previously gained so little, who only gained so little in program. But hey, he will never let me into this point. That's what he said. He said what he found super powerful about learning next were the hidden forces at play in the markets. This helped him stay on the right sides on the markets and not to be its mercy. Just a day after the program, I could already see some improvements in trading and analysis of markets. And this is only beginning excited for the times ahead. So this is what he just said about the program. Right, one of my older batch students who's doing really well. So, of course, we don't like to upsell things, and we have a no upsell policy. So what annoys me about a lot of programs out there is that, right, when you go for a program and you say, hey, here's a basic program, here's a few $100, join this program, and guess what happens? They teach you a bit of rubbish, and they start upselling you a few $1,000s, right? This is commonly seen in a lot of programs out there. We don't like that. Because why? We were retailers at one point. So we don't have this thing involved. We don't want to do it. And instead, what we do is that we have optional programs like deep astrological events or things like going to NFT space or things like that are optional for you, and we will not make you feel like an idiot if you don't take it up. This is our promise. Or things like how to do LV systems. So this is things that we promise in the whole process, and we design this thing as a one-shot, which means that you get everything. We tell out there, you get everything. Right. So this is our promise to the current batch right now. We are keeping this up to about 2023. And of course, our job is just being allocation of time and dimension trading. And this is what we do and what we want to pass on to the next generation of traders. So, of course, we did studies in the case studies with all the other programs. And this is what people are charged out there. These are real programs out there, how much to upsell you, right? This is based on 2020 data. I used to send spies into other programs to see what the guy's teaching. So I have a few spies that I will not disclose to a day, but we have spies to go in the programs like that and take a look. And I can tell you out there that half of them are selling rubbish right now. So basically we cover all grounds. So with every other good programs out there, we have something called a wall of testimonies. So these are some of the testimonies that people wrote to us. You can see that there's a lot of testimonies coming in right now. And based on that testimonies itself, and having students from 23 countries, I just want to showcase some of the more prominent students. Like this guy called Edwin Ng. So Edwin Ng is, what's very good about him is that we call him the crypto king. And he's so good at the point that he's actually one of my astrologers in the team. And we call him the NFT monster. Why? Why NFT monster? Because he came to this program with $2,000 and he left $2,000. He failed his whole entire F&B career, right? His whole F&B career just went to the grounds. He's losing too much money. He closed all his shops. And when he came to me, he was left with a few $1,000s. And eventually he started specializing in cryptos and NFTs. And he was so good at the point that he came out with his own channel that has a few hundred people, right? It's about 600 people right now, if I'm not wrong, that follows him. He has his own Discord channel, and he actually gives NFT advice for free. He came out with his own NFT as well. He came out with this thing called Dummies, and he's been busy flipping NFTs day and night. For example, he bought an NFT for 2.6 Ethereum. One Ethereum technically is about $2,000 right now, 1,000 plus, right? So 2.6 Ethereum is about maybe, I don't know, $5,000-6,000 USD. He bought something for $5,000-6,000 USD in the NFT world, and he flipped it for 32 Ethereum. He got it about 60,000 after that. And he just do it within what? 2 weeks. But if you think that's impressive, right, this is the early stage. This year, May, 2 months ago, he just did his biggest Q I've ever seen, as of right now, being an NFT. He minted this thing. Minted means he got it for free from the NFT space. And he flipped before the Ethereum collapse. He flipped this sale in the NFT markets for 50 Ethereum. That is $138,000. And he did that in what? 3 days. 3 days. This year, 2nd May. This is how good they became. And he's one of my top students right now for NFT. Isn't that not crazy? Someone making $138,000 USD in 3 days because he got it for free. These are the kind of opportunities that we give to you if you work with us, and we'll bring you to the right place for free. Right? Likewise, we have people like Liang Wei Singaporean making $400 in the 2nd day of class. People like him, simple guy. There are people like housewives from Canada. So this lady made about $60,000 during the GME saga, the GameSpot saga. She took $10,000 to $60,000 one night. This lady did it. She wrote a long testimonials. I'm not going to read it to you, it's too long, right? And of course, we have people who lost money at the start, who had so little, who, of course, you can just read this comment here about what he said about this program. He lost about $2,500 with me at the start, from $5,000. Came to me, asked me what the hell is going on. Then I gave him some solutions after consulting him. He started making $100 a day on average. And eventually, in about a few months later, he started making about $1,000 a day, and he wrote this thing. You can read here, I comment, right? F all the other trading courses out there, Max Core 1 is the best. He just said that. So this is one of the Singaporean guys who did it. Of course, we have people from Australia as well. I met some of my Australian students recently in Sydney. So I actually met one of them called Timothy. He's here as well. So some of our Australian students are here. We have people from Europe as well. So this guy's from Austria, Gottfried Kenzer. Kenzer is from Europe, talking about this program, right? And of course, one of our best students, this guy also, apart from Edwin, this is one of our best students. So this guy actually did a video testimony for us.
My concerns for selecting time trader was about the accuracy or the probability or the usefulness of the course content itself. Because previously I've attended some other trading courses, investment courses as well. Some worked well and some really didn't work well. So this was my main concern. As for skepticism, I don't think I'm really skeptical about time I chose Konak Thumb Trader eventually. One of the core things was, prior to the course itself, Max does a interview for the participants to assess whether they are suitable or not. That is something quite rare and unheard of in the industry. Secondly, I think that is a lot of people's concern as well, which is the price point. So I will say that the cost is really very affordable. It is in fact a third or quarter of some of other trading courses that I've attended. I think the biggest challenge before going to Konak was to maintain a high level of accuracy and profitability. So as much as I've been trading for more than 10 years, I've attended numerous courses, whether it's options, forex, whatever, I have still not achieved the kind of accuracy and profitable level that I wanted. The biggest takeaway I have from this course is maybe the content itself, of course. It is very different from the other trading or investment courses out there, the normal indicators that you see on charts, because it does involve time factors, astrological factors. And on top of that, I think what it matters most for me is really the accuracy level of these strategies that allow me to be much more profitable now. This takeaway is really very, very valuable to me, as now I can confidently say that I trade with probability and accuracy level of more than 90%. In fact, I had made back my course fee within less than a month after the completion of my course. As I know, there are other course-mates of mine who even made back the money before the class has even commenced. What I like most about Konak Thumb Trader is, of course, firstly, the content. Max selfless kind of sharing. He really tries to impart whatever he knows. And on top of that, we have an active community that is engaging on a daily basis. Besides the seniors, besides my fellow classmates, there are also fund managers and professional traders within the community that really gives out the advice and the support required for all the traders within the community. Firstly, I think it's really about the content, the time factors, astrological factors, which differentiates them from other providers. And of course, the highly profitable rate accuracy level of more than 90%. Secondly, is about the community, the active community with the seniors, the professional traders. And thirdly, it is really about the very affordable price point, the cost fees of Konak Thumb Trader. And in fact, I have already recommended this course to my friends and relatives. I hope that they have signed up already.
Okay, so for Vincent's case, very simple. What I like about this guy is that, right, whenever this guy makes money, he actually donates and adopts children overseas. So what he does is that when he sees those children in need in like places like Indonesia, or he actually schools them, he writes letters to them, and he actually sponsors their food, and he sponsors their living and going to school. He gives us allowance and all. So these are the kind of people that we want to work with, because they are not only making money from themselves, but they're actually making a social impact to others. And Vincent's one of the best students we had, because he joined me in November last year, and within 4 to 5 months, he has made about $56,000. And that was 2 months ago when I last checked in with him. Right. So this guy actually works in the Personnel Kelly, which is one of those hiring firms, and he's one of the top management there himself. So these are the kinds of impact we want to see in the program that we run, and that they don't abuse the money and the things they earn, but in fact they do things better for others. Right? These are the kind of people we love, and we think that they deserve to be having kind of knowledge that is kept away from the publics. So of course, we have other people from Australia, from Singapore as well. We have pilots as well who made a lot of money as well within days. And of people from the oil and gas industry, they come to us. People who want to understand how the oils are working. People who have been in oil and gas, and they had to ask us even for advice to say, "Oh my God, what's going to happen?" And like this guy, so he's one of them from there. And of course, this is probably unheard of anywhere in the world or any other program out there in the world. We have a challenge. Every single intake, we want to challenge people to earn back the entire fee before class starts. We will actually coach you and give you some pre-class materials, and that you can do this challenge. And if you made it, we want to challenge you to make back the entire course fee before class starts. It's unheard of anywhere. And every single intake to date, since May 2021, we always have winners. People who succeeded making back the entire fee before class. So these are some of the winners out there that we have. And of course, we just showcase one or two of them, like this lady called Rafael. Rafael Zhang is a Singaporean entrepreneur. She works for family business. And she just said this thing about the program. Max is the real deal, attended many courses in his industry, but nothing is as illuminating as Max's courses. I've learned about trading methodologies invented by W.D. Gann, which she calls the Einsteins of financial markets, that Max and his team has researched. These methods are used by institutions which I'm trying to learn and understand. Thanks a lot, Max. Basically, she's been working on this for some time. She found no one else teaching this except us in Singapore. In fact, I dare say that we are probably the only people in Asia doing this right now. And in US, we know of people who are doing this at a very high cost. So we have this other guy called Adrian. He's what we call a scalping king. So Adrian took on the challenge, and when he first started, he made about 1,003, 1,004. He failed the challenge actually, but he was quite close to it. And eventually, 5 months later, this kind of money is what he makes in a single day, on average. Of course, sometimes he loses, but this is what he did. He sent to us over, and it's so good to the point that he started posting his results live to the public. And this is what he did in May this year. For about 3 weeks since 2nd May, he has generated about $16,000 live publicly. He actually posted all his trades out there this year, not last year, this year, right? So they are doing things live, that what we want to pass in, and he only masters 3 strategies from us. 3 strategies only, that it's not even time trading. And he's able to do this really. But of course, the market was very volatile at the period, so it's very easy to make, right? So we have people from Malaysia, like this guy, David Wong, preschool teacher. So he actually upgraded his car in Malaysia from a small car, big car. He's one of the first winner back then. This guy focuses more on crypto as well. And of course, he's able to live a better lifestyle after that. That's why I say here, haha, show off a bit. After joining Max, I from small car to big car within 6 months. This is the impact we created for them. Of course, we are very student focused and we are very community focused because of the area we're going through. So we want to meet up with students all the time. We have students who own yachts and stuff like that. It's quite common. Of course, there's some people I cannot disclose who they are. Some of them I disclose them, right? And sometimes we consult the funds as well. Like this is a fund group here. One of the small cap company under 10 million. This is one of them. I was teaching them how to do time trading, right? So here's the big questions for you guys right now. Is that what kind of life would you have if you can forecast the markets days, weeks to months in advance? And of course, what kind of impact would you like to leave behind, especially if money is no longer an issue? What kind of change can you contribute to the world? You see, in the program like us, right, we not only ask you about how to do it, but we want to ask you, once you make the money, what are you going to do about it? Of course, this is an extremely rare opportunity to engage us, and I've probably never heard of anyone doing this before. And we dare say we are, once again, we dare say we are probably the only people doing this in the world right now. So the program is that good to the point that we can even ask you what you're going to do after that, right? So you now understand that whether it's a bull market or bear market, whether the market is going to crash or not, right now, you understand the word that we don't care. Why? Because the entire market is actually engineered. The entire game they play, something with economy and all, is all a game. So opportunity like this is obviously very rare. And you understand that whether it goes up or down, it doesn't matter anymore because you have the tools. And of course, you can make money in any conditions, despite whatever news is trying to scare you, right? So right now, of course, we have a guarantee. I need to remind you again that if you come for a program like this, if you don't like this program at all, you can leave and get a full refund back on the second day. This is our guarantee, which means you come for the class already. You think that we're crazy? We are some people who are talking rubbish. Please leave the class. This is what we do in terms of guarantee. And we have people who actually have certifications, like this guy called Peter Lee, vouching for a program like this. So there are people who actually have certs, who are working in this industry, who come and actually talk about programs. Like this guy here. Of course, you can read his comments if you want to see. Next time, he's talking about the first 3 days of class being so powerful itself that this, about what happens in the manipulation of big boys. That's what I'm talking about, right? So, as of this stage, we are not making money from this. So we're just advocating for our ad spends. Well, of course, this is through Alaric, so we don't incur that. We want to convert this to supporting the rest of people. And we only do a one program fee. We don't upsell you. That's our promise. So how much do you think I should charge? Honestly, guys, if you guys want to do this thing, I'll just jump straight to the point. We are only charging this thing for a few months, 2 months of training at $1,000 only. And this is the fee that we're charging right now. And of course, you're still given a guarantee. Plus, you're still given recording. This is the fee. It's only $1,880 right now. And this is what we do for you for the entire month. 2 months of training. And the dates are here. For those of you who want to know, I'm not going to talk about how we compare other programs. Of course, we are the cheapest compared to all other programs in the markets. Because we are doing this from a point of not making money. These are the dates for the program right now if you guys are interested to take on a program like this. All sessions are recorded because it's impossible to master a program like this at one go. It's impossible, even at a professional level. The people who are bankers coming in, they cannot master this in one shot. So if you think this is right for you, then of course you can contact people like Carol and all for any of these things. And if any of you wants to ask any questions, you can ask me right now if you have any question to ask. All right, so I'm going to open the floor to the rest of you guys who are still left here. And of course, these are the dates for the latest intakes. It starts in about 2 weeks from now. So this intake is not too bad. The current cycle is not too bad. So I just want to know that this is the current batch we have. So any questions for the investors? Anyone who's into investing, please ask me the question now. And of course, we'll give you access to community channels as well, our research channels, overseas research channels, and we will also give you things like optimal training, live trainings as well, and some other coachings. So all these are included in our program itself. All right. So, of course, this what you see here right now can be a reality, and of course, it's very normal for people to make back full fees in one trading day. This is our promise. Right. So, any other questions you want to ask me right now? You can ask me right now. Any questions? Anybody from the ground? You want to ask me questions? Now's the time to ask me questions. Anything you ask? I'm going to sit down first and talk to you guys. Any questions you want to ask? Anything you want to ask? Please ask away. Anyone ask questions? Anything you're not sure about? Or anything you want to verify? You can verify the trades with me as well.
Does anyone have a question? You can unmute yourself or you can type into the chat box.
It's pure online training because we have students from 23 countries and we are trying to keep the cost low as possible. So we only do online training only for now. But of course, we do meet our students in person, depending on the country. Like end of this year, I'm flying to KL and Penang to meet my students in KL and Penang as well. We have a very active committee. Yes, it's all recorded. As I mentioned already, the program is impossible to learn in one setting. In fact, we allow you to re-attend the class for free. To date, we have never charged anybody to re-attend the class, even from students as far back as 2019. They're still coming in for class if they want to attend. And the class will constantly upgrade. So our software use not required. You can use TradingView. TradingView is enough. We can also use my broker here in Sydney. The Sydney brokers, they give the software for free. You can use that platform. You can use TradingView, which is both free and not free. And of course, you can also use Optima. One of them in Philippines. If you're unable to attend the training day on 23rd and 24th of July, don't worry about that. Like I mentioned, the class is recorded, and the 23rd, 24th is actually the most basic. So I'm not worried if you miss the class. When's the next training? We probably have one more planned for the year. We only do this about 2 to 4 times a year. So there might be one more happening in November this year. Yes, it applies to all markets. Would you like to challenge me on any markets? You see that? What kind of markets do you do on Philippine market? Index or stocks or what? I can show you some live trading now, if you want to see. Okay, what kind of stocks? Come on. If I have stocks, I can show it to you. So this is where I like to show people about things like moon cycles, things like that. Whatever you ask me, I'll just show it to you live. Okay, energy stocks. Okay, give me a counter name. Give me a counter name. What's the counter? What do you want to see? I need the counter name. Can I have the counter name, please? Philip, any counter name? I'm surprised that people are asking Philippine stocks. Usually people ask Tesla, Amazon, all the usuals, Facebook. I need the counter name. Okay, ACEN. Okay, ACEN, I'm not very sure. I think it's AC Energy Corporation, right? So let's assume this one. Okay, let's look at the market from a very basic point of view using TradingView, right? I'm not going to talk much about the stuff, but all I want you to observe is this thing. Let's see. This is what we call op. This is a op -1, I think. Yeah, this okay. What we call this market, right? This is what we call op cycle. This is op 1. No, this is a trade op 0. Op 0, op 1, op 1, op 0. It's op 1. Okay. This market is an op 1 market. Without showing you any other planets, right? I want you to observe something interesting. You see, whenever the moon appears here, emotions are created to flush. Can you see these emotions flush? Moon appear, market flush down, all the way down. Likewise, when you use the breakout methods here, let's say the moon cycle here, up or down, you don't know, right? But you know there's a moon cycle on this day. So this day itself is a breakout already. The market is a breakout in the moon cycle. Likewise over here, the flush is once again in emotion breakout movements of the moon cycle. This is one example of it. So over here as well, can you see that on this day here, when the moon is here, there was a flush. These flushes are created because of the moon effect I told you about. People are FOMOing, people are greedy or fearful. They take the trades early. So these are some ways we can actually use the planet cycles. For example, this one here. Can you see this search here in prices on September 2021? What do we have here? We have a moon cycle. So these things that happens in stock markets, right? When you see a sudden surge of energy and a sudden reversal or possible reversal by the doji, these are never an accident. These are all time cycles analysis. Why is it high here? Because of the moon. High, break down, right? New moon come inside there, push up. New moon here, uncertain power pump. See the cycles here? Next day here, power flush. It's all coordinated. It's all purely rigged. And like I say, I can take any stock and show this to you. Right? I hope this answers the questions for you. And don't forget, we show you the latest trades or one of the latest trades. For example, right now here, can you see this low here? Can you see this low here? Is it an accident or is it because there's a moon? And we're using TradingView, by the way. You can get this for free. What about this? Why did this drop happen? Emotions. Emotions here, right? Can you see all the reversal points? Emotions are coming in. These are all rigged. It's never a fair game. Human emotions are in play, right? Yes. Okay, so I hope I answered the question for you, Philip. For George, I will recommend you to start the program. I mean, watch the recording, go for everything. You can always watch the recording at your own time. And basically, you can attend. I will advise you to come for the full program, of course, but you can always watch the recording and come in for this if you want to. All right. How do you know the moon cycle up or down? Very simple. We don't care. So what we do is this thing. What we normally do is that we wait for the moon to appear. So for this case, right, if you use this method, you get about 50-60% of the accuracy. But usually you'll do what we call M3. We take 2 days bar here and wait for breakout on the moon cycle. We don't know whether up or down sometimes. We just wait. You don't have to trade every day in the markets. For example, in this case here, we take these 2 bars, right? Can you see the 2 bars here? Do we know it's going to go up or down? We don't know, right? We just wait, break out. But these kind of trades are very weak trades. But if you catch a good one like this one, you make a lot of money. If you catch a cycle like this, for example, you see the bar here, we don't know, right? But you just set your zones. You either buy or sell. You can catch a big wave down. What if you catch a big one like this? For example, this one here, same rules apply, up or down. drop all the way to hell. Examples, one of the examples already. These are some of the basic stuff we teach as well. But this is just one example of it. Oh, by the way, you guys probably want to know the what's it called, the channel, right? Let me give you guys the access channel right now, the public channel. So you can join in the public channel if you want to join. This is where you can communicate with me live. Let me just create a new invite link for you. Okay. Okay, if you guys want to join the channel, it's here for Telegram. So this is a channel that we have that you can connect with us. Because let me know that you come from Alaric's side, right? So this is the Telegram channel. You can click on it to join. So any other questions or any other doubts or anything you want to ask, please ask away. Any other questions or stuff there? Anything you want to ask? Right, I see guys. Don't spam the channel, please. We are one of the few places where we keep the channel open to the public, so you can ask us questions as well. Because we do give away trades once in a while. Any other questions? Anything you want to ask, Phillips or George? Yes, it works for Forex too. What markets would you like to see for Forex? Please ask away right now. What would you like to see for Forex? Ask. I will only show you basic time trading, by the way, or super basic. I will not show you more than that. I will probably only do the main. Oh, gold, definitely all these things. In fact, gold, there's a more advanced time trading I will not show to you. Right? I will only teach this only. Please name me the market. So someone asked for peso. Peso is, I'm not sure, because I don't do Philippine markets for peso, so I'm not very sure. Is it USD, PHI? Please don't text me directly. Please ask directly. So peso, right? Okay, let me look. Someone asked for peso, right? Look at this thing here. The cycle, it just search. Can you see that where this cycle search, same rule apply. This is just the moon trading. I'm not showing you anything more fancy than that. I'm just showing the moon. Can you see that? Even the moon itself, you can really see that the market reacts on a planetary cycle. Guidebooks in the chat. Search because I'm in Australia now, so I don't have my main system. It's in the click on the channel. You'll see that there's a file there that will tell you the guidebook. So you can see here clearly that there are cycles triggered here, right? So this is just a basic time trading for moon cycles only. I'm not showing you how to do the Mercury cycles or the other cycles, obviously. So peso, you can obviously see the most recent one has a lot of emotion trigger from the moon. All right. So I'm just showing you one example, the moon. So someone asked about gold. Gold is also same thing, SAU USD. So for gold itself, gold is what we call an op -1 indicator. When we talk about orbital cycle, we're talking about, because the planet moves in degrees, right? So sometimes the degree will happen earlier than the planet movement, because sometimes to consider a movement, right, it can be 1 or 2 degrees earlier. And the 1 or 2 degrees earlier can be hours to days early. So for this case, right, the goal usually happens 1 day before the moon actually happens in most cases. So we normally take 1 day before or 2 days before, combine 2 days before. Like this case here, we will normally take 2 days before and we use it as a breakout already for gold, right? Can you see here? We will normally use the 2 days before and we take the trade. And we combine two, we call this an M3 method in the guidebook, where we combine 2 dates to take a trade on breakout. Sometimes M1 will not work, M2 will not work. We need M3 methods. So this is for gold trading alone. And this is how, why was it a sell off? Moon come inside here on this day, there was a pump sell. You see that? These are never accidental. Of course, there's no trigger for this one because you used 2 days before, right? So this one, no trigger until the next cycle. Sometimes it gets shit like this where cycle, no trades. So you cannot always take a trade like this, right? But you can see that there's a sell-off on this moon. And likewise, you can see here, there's a pump cycle here. The day before, we say we used the day before, right? So there's a pump here, mini pump here, drop and up again. Did it break the low? It didn't break the low, right? So that's how it happened. What triggered this pump? Another cycle here, pump up this cycle. So I'm just showing you some of the examples of just moon. Any other markets you want to ask, please ask away. Anything you want to clarify, please ask. And don't forget, this is just a moon, and this is probably what I can teach in 20 minutes or less. there's a shit ton of things. There's a reason why it's 10 days long, right? And it's all recorded for a reason. You must understand that there's a reason why it's long. It's not because I want to spend and waste your 10 days, because it's very deep in technicals. All right. How do you join? Very simple. Carol, do you have the link there? You know, I'll send it. I'll send it a link.
Yeah, I don't have the link. Can you send it here?
Okay, I'll pass. Yeah, you can join. Of course, you can join the program itself. Let me send you the link right now, because for Alaric's side, I have a custom link for them. Just a minute. Let me get the link for you. So if you want to do this thing, for Alaric's side, we have a custom link. It's actually on the. Let me just get a link for you. One moment. Okay, if you think this is right for you, right? We have the program link here. One moment. Let me just sign in first. Okay, so wait now. One moment. Just bear me. Just for a minute. Let me settle this. Okay. For Alaric stuff, we have a arrangement under Alaric. Okay, here's the link. I found it. Okay, here's the link. If you want to join in, this is the link. So this is the link right now. So please let me know if you want to join in, if you think this is right for you. If you think that this is something that you never seen before, then of course you can join our 20th July training itself. So this is a link that if you guys want to join in. Of course, once you join in the link, please book an interview with me as well, because we need to just talk to you as well for this program. So if you need to talk to me, or you have questions, ask me in person or privately, we have a link as well for that. So we have a schedule link as well. Let me just get you my schedule link. So we do ask you to book appointments with us. This is to understand your needs better as well. So this is a link for the meetings with me. Right? If you're not unsure of anything, please ask away. All right. Any other questions? Okay. So the rest of you here, any questions you want to ask about the program, or anything else you want to ask? Please ask away right now. Anything you want to ask away. And they're not sure. There's still quite a number of you guys are here, so ask me questions. Right. I'm gonna end this is about maybe about 20 minutes or so, plus minus. But any questions you ask, anything you verify, you can also ask. Oh, by the way, the Singapore group, right? The one that I'm working with, if you go to MAS website directory, right? There's this guy that I'm working with. I'm still in talks with them. So this is one of the places that I have connection with, Denpet Markets. If you guys don't know any of MAS regulated ones, these are the people that I'm working with as well. So in case you need to verify anything. So this one, just one example of it, right? And they have the CMS license. All right, any other questions? Anything you want to ask? Anything your markets, ask away.
Anyone has anything to ask, or you can also type it into the chat if you don't want to unmute your mic.
If you're not sure, if you want to ask me in private, if you're very serious, of course only do that when you're very serious. We can consult me personally. We open this up for you guys to ask questions.
Yeah, any questions? Can appointment on the calendar link in the chat as well.
All right, anything else? Ask away. I've already shown you on the FX already, by the way. For those who are asking about FX, I've shown it to you already. Of course, there are other things like dimension grid model. I can just show one example. Okay, let's say Euro US, right? Let's say we have a dimension grid model here. Right now we have let's say we talk about a GAN box. A GAN box structure, we take one dimension harmonics here. Let's assume that this is a one dimension harmonics. We can clearly see that I can shift the dimension harmonics out here. And let's say I do a multiplication here, right? I never tested this before. But why is there a big sell-off on the Fibonacci number 618 here. Can you see this bar here? Why is it so big, the bar? One example. Why is it so big? It's because there's a golden ratio number here at this point where we multiply of mirror energy. That's just another example how to pick up an energy surge on a certain day. One example of the dimension model. Get it? Why is it a big bar? That's the answer there. So we know that if it's an empty space, right? Let's say with empty space, let's say that we do a strategy tester. We don't know what's going to happen. So we know that there's a bar here. Let's say we do something called rewind. All we know is that there's a surge on that day, right? Let's say on this day here, and we play into the future. We play, where's my play button? Let's play. Oh, here. Let's say mark it down. It's so fast. Let's say over here. So you can see clearly that on this day itself, right, when the market is moving, we know that on that day, something emotional might happen on the major fever point. So we can actually wait for a fever point like this, right? And you can see that it's going to happen, right? You just know that on that day, something might happen. So we put a marker there, say emotional day or something like that. So when that happens, right, we can prepare for a surge energy, whether up or down, we do not know, right? At this point, but we can see there's a Fibonacci number. So what happens? The next day, it surged energy and it's slammed down a big sell. And after that, it sell and sell and sell, right? Until what? Until where? Until right now. Can you see that there's a 3D selling because of one golden ratio number? So do you think this sell was an accident? The question is, do you think that sell there was an accident? It's not. Because why? There's a golden ratio number here. So this is one example of a dimension analysis, the basic ones. It's because there's a golden ratio here in the dimension box that we calculated that triggered this sell off here. Emotions again. All right. And you could also argue me and say, oh, before that, there's an emotion sell off here of the moon cycle as well. Can you see that? And there's a moon cycle here pressing the buttons up, like here as well. And here comes the ping pong down. So everything, it's rigged in the market. That's it. That's all you need to understand. Does this make sense to you? Any questions? Anything you ask? I'll just show you to do something that I usually don't share to people. But just one example of the dimension. Understand? So, ask away. So many of you left. I guess too dumbfounded by this. By the way, if you are new, we take care of you from the start as well. So don't worry about that if you're new. If you think that this is trading is something you really want to do from the start, then this is something you can also consider. You will not see results immediately, but it takes a while to get there. And if you're new, the program is not easy. All right, I need to be frank with you, it's not an easy program. It takes a while. But once you master this skill, it's something that could affect you down the road in a very positive way. Something that took us a few years to crack is what we do in a few days for you. So we'll basically tell you where all the pitfalls are. All right, any other questions? Question asked. Don't stay so silent. This is one of the rare times you can ask me and I'm not charging any money.
I think some of them have asked questions in the Telegram group.
Oh, which Telegram group?
The link that you shared just now.
Oh, no. Someone's only asking for the guidebook. That's all. The guidebook's actually in the Telegram. In the share folder there under files. You see a thing that I can't because I'm using my other system. I have to extract it from my calendar. I have the guidebook here. Let me just find for you here. Let's see if I have a guidebook here. Where's my guidebook? One moment. Okay. Oh, this one. I hope this is the latest book. Okay, so this one is my guidebook. I'll post it on the chat. Should be this one. Yep, this is the one. Okay, I'll download it right now. That's the problem when you don't have your main system with you. I'm using my mobile trading desk, not my main trading desk. See, it's here. Okay, I'm going to upload the file again. Okay, I just uploaded the Telegram group. All right, any other questions? So uploading right now. Anything you want to ask? Anything you want to verify? Now's the time to ask. Now's the time to verify. I like people to challenge me. So anything you ask, anything verify? Okay, if you guys are not talking, then there's no point for me to continue with this. You know what I mean? I really showcase on the Forex already. I will showcase on Go, just the basic stuff. And anything else? That's a big question. You guys really got no questions. I'm surprised. Usually when we do this on public, right, where hundreds of people here, I mean, we do have hundreds of people, right? The Q&A lasts for, yeah, there's a hand-in-hand help, of course. Usually the Q&A lasts for the same duration as the webinar. Usually people ask you for 2 hours long. So you constantly ask all kinds of questions, verify this and that. It's very funny. So of course, this came from the Alaric side. So I mean, next time after sign up paid, just book an interview with me. So what you need to do is that you just need to book an interview. The interview, usually we pass everybody, most cases. We just want to understand who you are. Then what happens after that is that we ask you to sign up for a brokerage, and we'll give you the foundation videos. So what will happen to you in the video is this. Let me show you to you what's going to happen next. So over here, right, let me just show you on the thing here we have. So what happens is that we have a foundation program for you where you can actually come in here. This is a foundation that we ask you to view before you start the first day of class. But the first 1-2 days is also this or similar. So this is the longer and slow version that is for the newbies. For all the pure newbies, this is for you. And we'll go through it one more time on the first 2 days. So if you cannot understand this part, and you cannot understand the first 2 days of the program, right, then we'll ask you to quit the program. This is our guarantee for you. So we will actually want to train you first before you even commit before you go for the full program. We want you to, of course, you commit the money, but we will give you a guarantee. And for those of you, some of them, they actually jumpstart. They say they want the full program already. We have the previous batch for you over here. So this is the old batch. It's actually 10 days long for the old batch itself. But this batch in July is going to go up to 15 days. So this is the old batch that we actually can give access to some of them that they want to. Right? So this is just some example of it. I can run one of those videos for you if you want to take a look. Let me show you this one. For example, this is LV, how we generate LV itself. Let it load. All right. I don't know why it's not loading. I'm on load. It's taking a while to load. I think the file is very big, that's why. Come on, play. I don't know why it's taking so long. YouTube usually quite immediate. Let's see if I can find another file for you. Okay, let's say Optima with Darren. So this guy is from the Optima itself, Darren program. We actually we got the software engineer coming to teach how to use Optima. So we have such arrangements for you guys as well. Yes. Oh, I'm looking at chats now. So yes, you can jumpstart if you want to. We give you permission for that. You have to sign a clause with us, but we can give you a jumpstart permission. Because